Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. After breaking up with the school beauty, I became a martial arts master. Chapter 81. High-rise apartment. The window was broken, and the glass had been cleaned, leaving only a big hole. The summer breeze poured in from outside, and it was quite comfortable. Cousin, the call was over. The repairman said that it would take 2 days, and there were dozens of customers waiting for the glass to be repaired. Lin Yi looked helpless. Wang Jian had been sealed, and the abnormality had been dealt with by the authorities. Now the most important thing was to repair Tai City and restore it to the situation before the invasion as soon as possible. Among these damages, in addition to the damaged buildings, the glass issue was the most troublesome. Unexpectedly, the biggest demand in the repair project of Tai City was to transfer the window repairman from the neighboring city. This was a blessing in disguise. At this moment, everyone else had left, leaving only Fang Yi and Lin Yi. Lin Yi was peeling oranges for Fang Yi, and chicken soup was boiling in the small pot in the kitchen to supplement Fang Yi's nutrition. Cousin, if it weren't for you, would Taishi have become a ruin now? Lin Yi still had lingering fears when she thought of the bats she saw all over the sky when she went out before. Those people were also slightly injured in this battle, but fortunately not seriously. But she heard that A-level anomalies could easily destroy a city. She had never seen such a scene with so many 5-star anomalies. She was really a little desperate at that time. Not so, the military district will arrive, but the casualties should not be small. Fang Yi said. It is said that the Spirit Association knew about this operation in advance and dispatched 40 pioneers to patrol various places in Taishi. From the perspective of the A-level anomaly invasion, there is no problem with this preparation. What's more, the military district had already come to support. It's just that the military district was trapped at the border of Taishi at that time, which delayed it for a long time and almost caused a disaster. Although it was almost a little bit, the number of casualties in Taishi was not small. The only good news is that Fang Yi reduced this number by dozens or hundreds of times. Will such crises occur frequently after the spiritual energy is fully revived? Lin Yi asked again. I think so. Fang Yi nodded. Before the spiritual energy is fully revived, various attributes between heaven and earth begin to descend, some of which are extremely harmful and may indeed bring huge crises to this world. When the day of spiritual energy revives, only the pioneers who have practiced for a long time can solve such crises. Hearing this, Lin Yi did not say anything, and put the oranges in Fang Yi's hands one by one. Looking at Fang Yi's still pale face, she sighed lightly. Thanks to my cousin this time, otherwise, Taishi would really be abandoned. They all know that many situations happen too suddenly. Even if there are early warnings, once things really go beyond expectations, the official will be out of reach. Just like this time, the Spiritual Association has already made preventive preparations, but an accident still happened. If there is no Fang Yi, the king of the dark attribute is born. Under the balance, Taishi is really likely to be abandoned. Xiaoguo's current situation is very tricky, and this is actually the same all over the world. It's like there are fires all over the world, but there are only a few water sources, so we can only put out the most important fires first. From this point of view, Fang Yi can understand the difficulties of the authorities. When a disaster is imminent, each city must cultivate its own powerful pioneers, otherwise they can only wait for death. If it weren't for you, my cousin, Taishi would be destroyed this time. Lin Yi sighed. I heard that the abnormal invasion this time is A-level. From this point of view, A-level invasion is too terrifying. No, the Spirit Association seems to have defined this incident as A+. This is the news Fang Yi got from Su Qingying, and Su Qingying also explained to him the difference between the two. A and A+ seem to be not much different, but in fact, the degree of danger is far different. Plus means that it can grow. This type of abnormality is very difficult to deal with and it is easy to get out of control, just like the bat cocoon this time. Once it evolves successfully, it will bring a devastating blow to the city. The king in the cocoon can actually control the abnormal followers of the Ghost Axe 7 stars or even 8 stars. There are quite a few of them. Once it hatches successfully, it will only take a moment to destroy Tai City, which is more efficient than the special thermal weapons developed by the official. By then, Tai City will really become a hell on earth. Speaking of which, cousin, your name has now spread in the pioneer circle, and they have given you a title called, The Undertaker. Yes, that's it. Lin Yi suddenly remembered what Zhao Meng mentioned. As soon as the voice fell, she noticed that Fang Yi beside her stiffened. The Undertaker. Such a second-year name, with a hint of earthiness. It was probably someone from the spiritual association who heard him mutter the word, Undertaker, and gave him this name. Fang Yi felt a little speechless, but it was very reasonable. But it didn't matter, it was just a name. Let me see, the popularity of The Undertaker is currently ranked first in the entire forum. It will probably spread to all cities soon. Lin Yi took out her mobile phone and swiped the forum while peeking at her cousin's expression. Hee, her face was a little dark. Lin Yi acted very cold to the outside world, but she was still a lively and caring girl in front of her family. In her opinion, her cousin was too low-key. Among the pioneers she had seen, those who had a little strength wanted to carve their realm on their heads and proclaimed themselves awesome everywhere. Even Li Wenju, who claimed to be low-key, had a kind of aura when looking at people, and could not really recognize people who were not as strong as him. But her cousin was different. He was really low-key. If she hadn't lived under the same roof with him and been saved by him several times, Lin Yi would never have realized that her cousin was actually an idol-level existence. Thinking of the fact that she had mistaken her cousin for an ordinary person who didn't seek to make progress, Lin Yi felt her face flushed. Ordinary Louis Ku. Unmotivated Fang Yi. Who hasn't made mistakes? The main reason is that it's too outrageous. Which family has no power and can easily seal the A+ level anomaly and help the official clean up the mess purely by relying on their own wild pioneers? After thinking about it carefully, I don't dare to make up such a story. However, this matter is not without disadvantages. Fang Yi ate the orange given by Lin Yi and said calmly, I have a feeling that I will soon break through the 7 stars. Quote ... question mark exclamation mark quote. The orange in Lin Yi's hand suddenly fell to the ground. She didn't have time to pick it up. She looked at Fang Yi with her beautiful eyes wide open. So fast. 7 o'clock in the morning, downstairs at Fang Yi. A beautiful figure was standing at the door, holding a fruit basket in her left hand and supplements in her right hand, hesitating and turning around. Is it too early to visit Brother Fang at this time? What if he hasn't gotten up? Maybe I should call him first. Just as she was struggling, suddenly, she heard a loud clanging sound above her head, like the sound of metal colliding, terrifying power surging, and violent power bursting out. The next moment, a golden light burst out from the high-rise apartment above her head, indescribably grand and warm. The golden light surged and broke through the clouds. What's going on? Su Qingying looked up in shock. A huge projection of the divine axe slowly emerged, with a furious breath and flowing with blazing magma. The aura of the magma was extremely terrifying, like a divine tool. The divine axe swung once, and again. The terrible breath vibrated. Breakthrough. Ghost Axe 7 stars. At this moment, Su Qingying was able to identify who the owner of this breath was, but because of this, she was even more speechless. Is it 7 stars? When I monitored him, he had just broken through to 3 stars. Su Qingying's eyes reflected the huge divine axe, and she felt mixed emotions. Ever since she knew that the person who saved her was the one she was monitoring, she felt that the world was very small. When I monitored him, my realm was still slightly ahead, but now I have been left far behind. With such a terrifying star-raising speed, how strong is this talent? Don't say it's Taishi, even in the entire Xia country, this is a top-tier genius. Not to mention that he also controls the ultimate high-level attributes, and there is more than one. Su Qingying felt sour in her heart, not jealousy, but envy. After all, only those at the same level can be jealous. When the other party has left you far behind, you can only shout 666. The light upstairs gradually went out, the breakthrough was over, and Su Qingying took the elevator upstairs. It was Lin Yi who opened the door. She was slightly startled when she saw Su Qingying outside the door. Why are you here? I came to visit Brother Fang on behalf of the Spirit Association for yesterday's burial operation. Su Qingying greeted familiarly. Today, Su Qingying was wearing casual clothes, sneakers, jeans, a light white t-shirt and a high-waisted jacket, dressed like a beautiful school girl without makeup in college. Lin Yi opened the door and took out the shoe covers. Su Qingying sat on the sofa in a proper manner and glanced at the room inconspicuously. The big hole in the window looked full of joy. I'll arrange someone to help deal with the window problem when the time comes. Although it's summer, it's not a big deal to leave it broken like this. Su Qingying took the initiative. Is it okay? Thank you very much. I reported it yesterday, but the master was too busy. Lin Yi poured her a cup of tea. Of course. What a joke. This is a hero who saved Tai City, a sealer personally sealed by the official. Even if he asks to change to a big villa in the city center, it's not a problem. But Brother Fang probably doesn't care about such vulgar material possessions. After a while, Fang Yi came out. Su Qingying stood up solemnly. Brother Fang, we made a major mistake in this A+ level abnormal invasion incident. Thanks to you, it didn't cause a disaster. On behalf of the Spirit Association and all the citizens of Tai City, I would like to make the most sincere contribution to you. After saying that, she bowed deeply. Very good attitude, you have used it all. You're welcome, sit down. Fang Yi nodded. The recovery speed of the pioneer is very fast. Fang Yi was just hollowed out yesterday, and he can live normally today. This is also due to the star upgrade. He feels that he is stronger than before. Su Qingying thanked him twice in succession before sitting down. She held the tea and said with a sincere attitude. In fact, the Spirit Association sent me here for another thing this time. They want to ask Brother Fang for his consent. They plan to launch the name Undertaker. Oh, seeing that Fang Yi did not directly refuse, Su Qingying cheered up and explained. The current situation in various parts of Sha country is that some powerful pioneers have appeared in each city. They are well known, and even our officials know a little bit. These people are relatively famous in the pioneer circle. You can regard them as the pillars of various places. And the A+ level anomaly in Tai City this time is the most terrifying abnormal cholera, a large-scale disaster, so after the title of the sealer is launched, Tai City will become a big city after the recovery of spiritual energy. In other words, we need a powerful pioneer leader as the captain, and what they mean is that Brother Fang is just famous, so we can take this opportunity to launch the title of the sealer. In the future, the strange phenomena of heaven and earth will become more and more frequent, and there will be more and more abnormal invasions. They need a magic needle to stabilize the sea, a hope that people can see, and a beacon on the road of evolution. However, the Tai City Spiritual Association keeps your identity and privacy confidential, mainly to highlight a mystery and let them fill in the blanks. Appropriate mystery is far wiser than exposure. Human imagination is often more deterrent than reality. I don't care. Fang Yi has no reason to refuse. As long as it does not affect his normal life, he does not care what the outside world thinks of him, but there is one thing that surprised him. Unexpectedly, the title of Undertaker is actually released by the official. Fang Yi has no objection. After receiving the news, the Tai City Spiritual Association immediately began to prepare. This day, in Shen City, the headquarters of the Spiritual Qi Cultivation Association was piled with recommendation emails from various cities. After seeing the A+ level abnormal invasion incident in Tai City, all cities have a sense of crisis. In the real critical moment, only the local powerful pioneers are the last line of defense. The headquarters also realized that relying on those specialists to put out fires everywhere is simply a drop in the bucket. After careful consideration, it requires all places to report the list of local pioneers and intends to start developing the local combat power of each city. Each city began to report the number and strength of the pioneers under it. The stronger the reported pioneers, the more face the city will have. The higher the city rating, the more resources will be tilted. One name after another was reported. Among them, the most eye-catching one is undoubtedly Undertaker. Is this the pioneer who solved the A+ level anomaly? It is said that he has a high-level yang attribute and is an extremely powerful existence. The opposite attribute of the dark attribute, so he is simply the chosen one. Due to the existence of the Pioneer Forum, people in various cities have heard of this name to some extent. Some admire him, and some don't care. There are more than 100 cities in Sha country. Countless pioneers have just begun to emerge. Inside the Taishi pioneers. Now, it has exploded. I don't know who spread the news that the sealer was elected as the captain. It spread like wildfire. Now, it caused an uproar among the pioneers in Taishi. The sealer is about to be elected as the captain. For a moment, countless people were surprised. Does this captain mean the leader of the pioneers? The sealer is the leader of the Taishi pioneers. I'm looking forward to it. The sealer, this name sounds a bit earthy, but the more I hear it, the more terrifying it is. Yes, one knife to bury. Probably only those who have really experienced that abnormal disaster know how terrible it is to be able to kill into the center of such a desperate place and bury the king of abnormalities with one knife. I also went out to help in that disaster. I thought the abnormal bats were easy to kill. As long as I had enough spiritual power and physical strength, I could kill them all. As a result, when I arrived at the central square, I saw that I was bothered. The 7 stars of the ghost axe alone, the anomaly can be slapped to death without leaving any residue, but he can actually seal the cocoon on the bell tower. Captain of the sealers, Riceby. Quote. That's an A+ grade anomaly, with unlimited growth. If the thing in the cocoon breaks out, it will probably blow Taishi away in one breath. His name of sealer is well deserved, it's too scary. Yes, if it weren't for him, we would have become the food for the anomalies long ago, and there would be no time to complain here. I declare that the sealer should be the captain who deserves it. The pioneers of Taishi are all one-sided support. They are all people who were saved by the sealers. They know very well that if there were no sealers, Taishi would have become the food for the evolution of anomalies long ago. Even if they survived, they would be seriously injured. It is even more impossible to be like now, with the signs of becoming the first city of spiritual energy recovery, which can be regarded as a blessing in disguise. I heard that the forum where the pioneers were active has been officially taken over by the Spirit Association headquarters. Since the spiritual energy has not yet fully recovered, the official has never unified the number of pioneers. But after this incident, in order to maintain order in various places, all the scattered soldiers will be recorded, and the world will begin to get on the right track. Now the forum has been unified into a headquarters, and real name authentication is required to enter, and it is also necessary to register information with the local Spirit Association to confirm the identity of the pioneer. Isn't this a real name count of our pioneers? In fact, this is a matter of time. The pioneer team is growing day by day. If it is not managed, it will be more difficult to fully revive the spiritual energy at that time. The speed of spiritual energy recovery is getting faster and faster, and there are more and more anomalies. If we continue to block the information blindly, it will increase unnecessary panic. Now that ordinary people have been open to popular science, the pioneers should of course be integrated. But, I see that there seem to be many people on the forum who are not convinced by the sealers. The efficiency of the state machine is extremely high. After counting the number of pioneers, various information will be released in the forum, which is also to make it easier to summon the pioneers. In the forum, Taishi and the sealers are very popular. Many people are discussing Taishi and the sealers. Taishi, sealer, captain. The entries related to the information have exploded. Sealer, assisted in solving the A+ level anomaly invasion incident and made key contributions in it, and sealed the A+ level anomaly alone. Captain Reserve. This brilliant resume silenced many people, but it couldn't stop the keyboard warriors. Many pioneers in the neighboring city spoke crazily. Undertaker, who is this? I've never heard of him. It sounds really powerful to seal an A+ level anomaly, but the captain is not qualified. They have a super pioneer who can deal with the level anomalies. I heard that they have someone who helped the military district. Is it the Undertaker who solved the crisis in Tai City before? I've seen the video. The Spirit Association gave a lot of help, and the extreme yang attribute and the dark attribute are opposite attributes, and being able to seal can only be said to be a basic operation. Basic operation. Did you learn a word and then go online? The Spirit Association has put its stamp on it, and you call this basic operation? I feel that there are at least 5 people who can beat him. To be honest, it's still very uncertain whether he is the first. Don't talk about others. We have pioneers in Luokang district with similar strength to him. If the central square is in Luokang district, it is estimated that it would have been solved long ago. In the final analysis, it is because their pioneers are too weak that they would deify a pioneer like this. A tall tree attracts the wind. The Undertaker has been very popular recently, and naturally many people are not convinced. At the moment, the two sides are quarreling. The bystanders are outside the game. Others have not experienced the taste of the Central Area Pioneers' survival from desperate situations, nor have they seen the visual impact of the cremation of a knife, so they have no scruples when talking about it. The two sides quarreled as expected, and they have been spitting at each other for a day and a night. The Central Area Pioneers who learned about this matter shared the same hatred and were more united than ever before. "Send me the link, I want to fight too." Quote. The battle on the forum was in full swing. At the same time, Taishi Airport, a plane approached the airport runway and glided like an eagle. 3 people in casual suits walked into the terminal hall, and their expensive leather shoes made a crisp sound when knocking on the tiles. They looked a bit sinister. One of them had a vertical knife scar on his left eye, and the eyeball in the middle of the knife scar was grayish-white. Walking on the road, a child next to him was directly frightened by him and burst into tears, and was hurriedly carried away by his mother. Is this Taishi after the A+ level anomaly invasion? It seems that ordinary people live more comfortably than us. Who gave them the confidence? The legendary Undertaker. The scarred man looked at the busy terminal hall with a very sarcastic tone. Just find him and try, and you will know if it is true or not. A bald man said indifferently. They came from the neighboring Heishi. This trip is to meet the Undertaker, who has been making a lot of noise recently, to see if he is as strong as he boasted. Is the news reliable? Hasn't Taishi blocked the Undertaker's information? The calmest person said. I have a friend who is a hacker. He deciphered the movement trajectory of the communicator of the Spirit Association and located the movement trajectory of the Undertaker. He should be able to find his location. The scarred man checked his mobile phone, which showed an address and a map navigation. Haha, Taishi is playing tricks and launching a captain character, making it so mysterious. I'm afraid it's more fiction than reality. The scarred man grinned, and the scar at the corner of his eye became longer, making him look even more terrifying. This is it. Following the navigation, the 3 of them arrived in front of a high-rise apartment. Seeing the old apartment building in front of him, the scarred man frowned. Is this where the Undertaker lives? He saved the entire Thai City and solved the A+ crisis. Why didn't the Thai City Spiritual Association give him a villa? At least there should be a large flat, right? I don't even want to live in this thing. Indeed, at worst you have to pick one in the city center. The Thai City Spiritual Association is really stingy. The bald man next to him was speechless. That's enough. You two are still fighting for justice. Didn't you say that the Undertaker is unworthy of the position, so you come to give him a hard time? Don't delay the business. Hearing this, the two looked embarrassed and quickly adjusted their expressions. In an instant, the scarred man's eyes became sinister, and the sharp blade in his hand flashed with a cold light. The man next to him pushed his cap down, revealing his muscular arms. The tattoo of a rakshasa on one arm was bright and vivid, as if blood had stained his skin red, full of oppression. The bald man weighed a special iron baseball bat, which was covered with blood from different time periods. At this moment, it had solidified and turned black, and was indescribably cold and terrifying. The 3 men walked towards the apartment with murderous intent. Their figures were very scary in the sun. They looked like gangsters going out to seek revenge. With a hammer, they would use a person's head as a butt stool. Passers-by next to them automatically stayed away from him 10 meters or more, and didn't dare to look at him anymore. The security guard at the door swallowed his saliva and wanted to go forward to ask, but finally turned his head away and pretended not to see him. The navigation showed that the Undertaker was on the top floor of Building 33. When the 3 arrived at the elevator door, they just pressed the button. Ding sound. The elevator door opened, and a beautiful figure walked out of it. They collided head-on, and both sides paused. Su Qingying glanced at the 3 people in front of her, thinking. Until the trio walked right past her, the elevator slowly closed behind them. Pioneers, I always feel that they look a little familiar, I seem to have seen them somewhere. Su Qingying watched them leave, but she still didn't remember, shook her head and walked out. The elevator number slowly rose. Finally stopped at the top floor, and the location displayed on the phone was in the suite on the right. At the door of 3301, the scarred man and the bald man smiled and looked at each other. This should be here. Just as he was about to break in, the next second, the door suddenly opened by itself. A girl with a single ponytail, wearing a cotton and linen long skirt, and a calm expression walked out from inside. She was holding an environmentally friendly shopping bag given by the supermarket, 2 yuan each, which can be reused. The girl looked only 16 or 17 years old, with skin as white as snow and full of spiritual energy. She was definitely not an ordinary person. The scarred man narrowed his eyes dangerously. Coming out a 3,301, it was another pioneer, definitely the Undertaker. But, after she pushed the door open, she walked towards the elevator as if no one was around. She didn't even glance at the 3 people, looking arrogant. Question mark, question mark, question mark. You are so good, Undertaker. We came to your door, but you didn't take us seriously at all. The 3 people looked at each other, stepped forward together, blocked the door, and surrounded her. Is it you? The scarred man Zhao Yu looked at her and sneered. You, the so-called Undertaker, the captain of Taishi, the leader of the Taishi pioneers, I didn't expect you to be a woman. It is said that your swordsmanship is very gorgeous, which is in line with it. It's flashy but not practical, ha ha ha. The bald Wu Xin played with a baseball bat, and the metal scraped against the tile floor, making a tooth-grinding sound. I don't think your aura is that strong. Ghost Axe 5 stars. It seems that Taishi really has no one, so they can only push you, a low-level pioneer, to be the captain. With your realm, you can also seal the A+ level abnormal invasion with one sword. It seems that the so-called destruction is just an exaggeration. The Taishi Spiritual Association is really good at making up stories. The title of the sealer is just a joke. The muscular man leaned against the wall and said nothing. But the bulging muscles on his arms and the cold light in his eyes all exuded a strong sense of oppression. The atmosphere in the whole venue suddenly dropped to the freezing point. These 3 people are all powerful pioneers with good talents. Each of them has Ghost Axe 5 stars, equivalent to 3 Li Wenju, and their strength is not weaker than Lin Yi. At this moment, seeing that the so-called first person in Taishi is just a little girl of the same level as themselves, they feel that they are right to come. The so-called Undertaker is just like this. What's the point of talking about being the number 1 in Tai City? Everyone must know that the Undertaker who is praised to the sky is nothing but this. At this moment, the Undertaker, surrounded in the middle, finally raised his head in the face of this mockery, glanced at them with his beautiful eyes, and reached out to take off the Bluetooth headset on his ear. Who are you? What are you talking about? Lin Yi was confused. What are these people doing here? Do we know each other? Why are you blocking my door? Divine gold. Quote. Zhao Yu's face became stiff in an instant. So, we just talked for a long time, and you didn't hear a word, right? Crazy. Too crazy. But it doesn't matter, they will let this unworthy number 1 taste what a sandbag-sized fist is. None of this matters, anyway, let's see what level the number 1 in Tai City is. Zhao Yu snorted coldly, and the next second, Lin Yi was even more surprised. You want to see the number 1 person in Taishi, why are you looking for me? Zhao Yu was stunned, and then his face turned red. Aren't you the captain of Taishi, the Undertaker? I'm not. You aren't. Zhao Yu's veins were throbbing. No, wait, did they find the wrong one? Impossible, you have light steps, crystal clear skin, and exude spiritual energy. You are definitely a pioneer. How could they find the wrong one? At this moment, they felt that they were exhausted after a burst of energy. Looking at this posture, Lin Yi had roughly guessed their intentions. It could be seen that they were not good. She said with a little vigilance, Undertaker, are you here to cause trouble for him? Before they could speak, she suddenly turned her head and shouted to the room behind her. Brother, someone is here to cause trouble for you. Suddenly, the air was quiet in an instant. The faces of the 3 people present changed drastically. In an instant, they felt creepy. A terrifying pressure suddenly burst out in the room, as if a sleeping beast slowly opened its bloody eyes. At this moment, at the gate of the community, Su Qingying stopped suddenly and looked back in the direction of Fang Yi's home. No, she remembered that she had seen the photos of the 3 people at the headquarters of the Spirit Association before, when she was counting the pioneers of other cities. They are. She tried to recall. These 3 are pioneers from the neighboring city. They are very strong, so they were divided out. The pioneers of other cities smelled the smell so quickly. These guys are really not quiet. No, I have to go back quickly. Su Qingying's expression gradually became panic. She knew that many people on the internet were dissatisfied with the funeral leader being the captain of Tai City, but she didn't expect that this group of people would be so bold to come to her door. She was really afraid that these ghosts who didn't know how to die would be killed by Brother Fang in 1 second. At the door of Fang Yi's house, the three of them felt a palpitating breath. The next second, they turned their heads suddenly and saw a figure at the door. A sunny and handsome young man was standing at the door looking at them. His eyes were faint and cold. The expressions of the three people suddenly changed. They can be sure that this terrible breath came from this handsome young man. Why can a young man exude such a terrifying breath? Even they are a little scared. These three people are from High City next to Tai City. They are three unruly thorns. In line with their appearance, they did have some black before becoming pioneers. They were the kind of gangsters who collected protection fees on the street. At the moment when the spiritual energy is gradually recovering, the three brothers are talented and have gained power. Other forces dare not provoke them at all. Once they provoke them, they will definitely make them pay a painful price. After becoming pioneers, they have become more free. Therefore, after becoming the pioneers, they still retained this style, stepping on whoever they disliked. However, this kind of people is the kind of people that the spiritual association wants to restrain the most and is the most difficult to restrain. They don't want the spiritual association to unify the pioneers, so they always try to obstruct. The captain of High City is too strong, and they can't beat him, so they set their sights on the sealer of Tai City. Before coming, they thought very clearly. With strong talents and the group of three people, they dare to touch even a stone. However, they felt something was wrong at the moment. This sealer, how come it seems to be more terrifying than the rumors? Are you the sealer? Zhao Yu said. Fang Yi did not comment, and they didn't get Fang Yi's response, so they didn't rush to take action. Instead, they looked at each other, leaned together with great fear, and discussed in a low voice. The intelligence says he is very mysterious, how could he be so young? And he looks harmless, but his aura is not weak. And he didn't take the knife. The intelligence says that when his knife skills are used, the sky fire will burst out, and a sea of fire will be cut out, but he didn't take the knife. Could it be that he is not the Undertaker? Wu Xin said, glaring at Zhao Yu. Where did the hacker friend come from? He is so unreliable. The person is wrong. Just then, woof woof woof, a grandma's dog barking came. Zhao Yu and others were stunned, and they looked down subconsciously. I saw a little white dog rushing out like the wind, trying to rush out of the door while everyone was not paying attention, and run to the arms of freedom. As a result, before running out, it was picked up by a hand, and its 4 short legs fluttered in the air. Even if you go out today and become a stray dog again, you have to take a bath before wandering. Fang Yi put one hand across the dog's belly and turned around to walk back. Woof woof. The puppy licked his hand obediently, trying to be cute, and its tail turned like a propeller. But Fang Yi was very cold and ruthless. He grabbed the dog's neck and threw it back into the bathroom in a few steps. Ouch! The dog's scream came. Fang Yi turned his head and looked at the 3 uninvited guests in front of him, with an obvious expression. I still have to bathe the dog, what else do you want to do? Although his eyes were very calm, Zhao Yu's self-esteem was deeply hurt. Brothers, we came all the way from Heishi, is it just to make a fool of ourselves? If we go back now, we will be defeated without a fight. Since we are here, we have to fight. Otherwise, how will those BYDs see us, the 3 heroes of Heishi? No matter whether he is the Undertaker or not, he must be one. The 3 looked at each other. They are in the underworld, and most of the time, they care about face. Many people in Heishi know that they came out to cause trouble for the Undertaker. They can't be timid. What's more, once the challenge is successful, their reputation will rise to a higher level in Heishi, and they will have more advantages in public opinion. The merger of the pioneers is imminent. It is a big challenge for the Spirit Association to gather all the wild pioneers. There are unruly people everywhere, especially in the group of pioneers, which accounts for a large part. The talented people are the minority who are not crazy. We came here to test the depth of this Undertaker, and we can't give up halfway. We made a mistake once, but we can't make a mistake twice, right? He is most likely the Undertaker, and there is no information that the Undertaker cannot be a young man. In short, if we defeat him, we will be the ones who defeat the Undertaker. Instantly, the three of them reached a consensus. Since they are here, they represent Heishi. We must not lose face. The three pioneers with 5 stars of Ghost Axe all raised their weapons at this moment, and they were all aggressive. Fang Yi's eyes were slightly cold. So, he didn't want to be famous. This kind of disturbed daily life is really very troublesome. Boom. In an instant, Fang Yi's whole body suddenly burst into countless golden lights, and an extremely vast and majestic pressure came down from him. The huge Yang attribute was blazing and hot, as if it had turned into a concrete golden sun, covering them. You're so close, I can smell the aroma of barbecue on me. This burning feeling, fire. No, I remember. This is the Yang attribute, the extreme high-level Yang attribute mentioned in the information. I feel like my clothes have melted, I'm going to be burned, we are wrong. This is not an opponent we can challenge. The three were extremely terrified. And at this moment, Fang Yi did not intend to stop. If they did not teach this kind of person who came to his house to provoke them, they would never really admit defeat without being taught a lesson. Snap. A snap of the fingers fell, and then the golden light turned into a fierce sea of fire, rushing towards the three people at the door. Sizzle. The terrifying sound of burning flames sounded, like a raging fire boiling oil. The bodies of the Ghost Axe 5 stars were already very strong, and even bullets could not penetrate their bodies, but the extreme Yang attribute was different. It directly ignored the spiritual barrier and burned on their skin. In an instant, the three of them were burned into red and swollen firemen, with extremely horrifying and hideous faces, and obviously in great pain. At this moment, they were finally filled with horror. They had no idea what it meant to seal an A+ level anomaly. But now, they knew. What does the burial of the burial master mean? The word, burial, means to send you to heaven on the spot, leaving no room for resistance. The three of them fell to the ground and rolled over. They were in great pain all over. Have mercy. At the last moment, Su Qingying arrived in time. She looked at the three people, panting, and supported her knees with both hands, and breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they were not dead yet. The thick smoke gradually dissipated. The door was filled with the aroma of burnt meat. Fang Yi said lightly, I don't like to be disturbed by others. If you dare to provoke me again next time, it won't be so easy. With a bang, the door closed. Dust flew. Su Qingying let out a long sigh, stood up, and educated with a serious face. You three are really lucky this time. If it were 2 days ago, the Spirit Association would not interfere with the internal fighting between the pioneers, you would deserve to be beaten to death. This time, the captain spared your lives for the sake of the Spirit Association. You should know this lesson in your heart. Su Qingying's expression was still calm, but she almost vomited blood in her heart. Please, who are you to dare to challenge the first person who officially approved the decision of our Spirit Association, the captain of the Tai City Spirit Pioneer? There is a gap between geniuses. There is a saying that describes it very well. You think you are gifted, but after decades of hard work, you can only become one of the 100,000 heavenly soldiers and generals who can stop Sun Wukong. Why do you think you can do it? The Spiritual Association will punish you. You are openly provoking the captain of a city. You are trying to make trouble for the Spiritual Association. Su Qingying was really speechless. These pioneers are too arrogant now. The Spiritual Association has just announced the captain. You dare to provoke, which is openly slapping the face of the Spiritual Association. What's more, people outside don't know the value of the Undertaker, but the Spiritual Association headquarters must know it. Those who conceal A+ abnormalities alone must be the #1 focus of the Spiritual Association. How dare you? If it weren't for the Spiritual Association's rules not allowing it, she would have wanted to beat the three of them to death. But, Su Qingying sighed and took a look at their miserable appearance. The three people, who were originally majestic, now looked miserable. Their bodies were burnt and their skin cracked, just like the cracks on the surface of a rigid rock, with wisps of burning smoke coming out of the cracks. Their clothes had been devoured by the flames, leaving only the tattered pieces of cloth and embers. They looked even more miserable than the beggars who had been wandering the streets for several years. They had learned a lesson. Fortunately, he didn't bother with you at all, otherwise, you would have turned into ashes now. If he had drawn his sword, you would have died long ago. Su Qingying understood in her heart. Fang Yi is now the favorite of the Spiritual Association. His performance has made the Spiritual Association clearly understand that Fang Yi is the future of Sha country. The future spiritual energy revival is the fog above our heads. The denser the spiritual energy, the more confusing the fog. Everyone has an unknown fear of the future, because it may be dark. But the appearance of Fang Yi gave them hope. Therefore, it is necessary for the Spiritual Association to win over these powerful pioneers and devote resources to their growth. They must not ruin the good relationship they have established with Fang Yi because of these unclear things. This time it is just killing a chicken to scare the monkey. The next time, the Spiritual Association will personally take action and will never let Fang Yi worry about such things. At this moment, the three Zhao people can only nod frantically, wanting to cry but without tears. It's too scary. Just a moment ago, they saw the King of Hell waving, and they almost entered hell. The feeling of death is close at hand. The three of them were completely convinced, and even felt ashamed of their arrogance before they came. Compared to him, the three of them were pure trash. They originally thought that the reputation of the Undertaker was exaggerated. Even if he was a little stronger than them, it would not be too much. When the three of them joined forces, they could at least fight 40% to 60%, with them 60%. As a result, now, they are not worthy. I can only say, thank you for not killing me. When the three of them came, they were full of vigor, and when they went back, they were ashamed. This incident taught them a lesson. From now on, they must learn to be humble. This day, the forum is still noisy. In the heated discussions against the Undertaker, the verbal battle is still escalating. Each IP has a clear position and protects its own, while Tai City protects the reputation of the Undertaker, and the IPs outside are madly doubting and abusing. These pioneers of Taishi City can be said to be engaged in a war of words and fought fiercely in all directions. However, suddenly, a few IPs of pioneers of Heishi City posted a post. The burial master is worthy of his name, I am convinced. As soon as this post came out, it instantly attracted a lot of attention, or to be more precise, dissatisfaction. Since the news came out, the public opinion on the forum has basically been in a state of 6 major sects besieging Guangmingding. The captains of other districts are not as famous as Taishi City, and they are not so popular and controversial, so there are so many people nagging about the captain position of the burial master. But now, a traitor has appeared in the 6 major sects. Many Heishi people saw the IP and went crazy, commenting crazily. Get out of our city. You kid has a crooked ass. Are you here to travel in Heishi? Stop pretending, Taishi people. Countless keyboard warriors heard the news and moved the main battlefield of the verbal battle to the bottom of this post, and a new round of bloody storm kicked off again. Of course, not everyone will just leave without thinking. There are some people who smell something wrong when they see this obviously reactionary speech. Why is there a traitor in the team? Is it a disguise, or a rebellion? I checked this person's IP, and his speaking IP is all Heishi. 90% of them are locals in Heishi. It's strange, aren't they usually the loudest? Heishi is near Taishi, full of resentment. Wait, blind monk, you found the point. Heishi is the city next to Taishi. I have a bold guess. This person is not really going to find the Undertaker. It shouldn't be, after all, the Spirit Association has blocked the letter to the Undertaker. Information, can't find him. Tisk, this generation of netizens is so powerful, what else can't they find except their wives? I'm offended. +1. I have a Jifubao and WeChat friend with this ID. I just went to his Jifu forest to take a look. 204 is the air ticket, 80 is the bus, 52 is the subway, and the number of steps is consistent, so they went to Tai City and are back now. By the way, he just posted a circle of friends, and the location is the city center hospital. After this was said, the forum was silent for a few seconds. So, did they really go next door to find the Undertaker? And they put themselves in the hospital. Quote, brother, you are so brave. We only dare to talk about it online, do you really dare to come to our door? Fang Yi didn't know that after he made the move, the 3 unlucky guys changed his reputation overnight, from doubt, to shock, and then to fear. The next morning, Fang Yi used the routine Jinyang breathing method to start a beautiful day. After a few days of recuperation and drinking Lin Yi's 10-fold tonic soup in various ways, his body was completely healed. No matter how bad it was, chicken soup would flow in his blood. Can we change the dish today? I saw you bought chicken wings, why not make cola chicken wings? Fang Yi went out and saw his cousin busy in the kitchen, and suggested intimately. You guessed it. Lin Yi rolled up her sleeves and started to marinate the chicken wings. Seeing this, Fang Yi breathed a sigh of relief and was about to go into the kitchen to see if there was any work he could help with. At this moment, his cell phone rang. Caller. Galan. Is it you, the Undertaker of Tai City? As soon as the call was connected, Galan got straight to the point. Facing Galan's question, Fang Yi did not hide it. It's me. Sure enough, a knife to seal the burial, too familiar, this is your style, I guessed it was you. Galan sighed. The title of the burial master is quite appropriate. She was amazed by the cremation video at the beginning, and looked for him everywhere. Unexpectedly, Fang Yi made a more abnormal move this time, directly saving a city, and even the Spirit Association came out to win him over. She felt a little subtle. It was like watching a piece of gold brush off the dust and shining. The two chatted for a few words, and Fang Yi keenly noticed that Galan's state was a little wrong. She called specially, and there was a bit of complaint in her tone. The military had already monitored the A+ level abnormal invasion this time, and the United Spiritual Association had made arrangements in advance. We thought we could deal with it easily, but we didn't expect that after preparing for a long time, we were almost wiped out. After this incident, the military suffered heavy losses, and many people resigned directly. Although you filled this big hole for the official, humans must remember this lesson. If it weren't for you, the current situation would probably be out of control and would bring irreparable disasters to Sha country, so I really have to thank you. Fang Yi could understand what Galan meant. This time the abnormal invasion changed from A level to A+, which was probably a direct emo for the country. After all, he had worked hard to prepare for so long, but the military couldn't even get back to defend, and suffered heavy losses. Anyone would be broken. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Let's talk about something happy. The reward for your trip to the Dark Land has been deposited into your card. Did you receive it? Received it. Forerunners of your level all regard money as dirt. This little money probably won't stir up your inner fluctuations. Okay, I have something to do later, so I won't bother you for now. Bye. Regard money as dirt. Fang Yi was stunned. When did he give people such a misunderstanding? However, Galan's reminder suddenly reminded him of one thing. He finally had enough money to buy a car and no longer had to endure the suffocating morning and evening rush hours. Brother, who's calling? Is it Sister Galan? Lin Yi poked her head out. Don't look at her cold appearance. In fact, she is Galan's little fan. She used to be timid in the group and never talked to Galan. Now she can finally rely on her cousin to achieve painless star chasing. Well, she came to ask me about the Undertaker and the previous compensation settlement. By the way, let's go to the 4S store this afternoon. Want to buy a car? Great, I'll transfer my money to you, and we'll buy it together. When it comes to buying a car, Lin Yi's eyes light up. Finally, I can end the miserable life of going out as soon as I get off the car after a mission. Eating cola chicken wings, the brother and sister discussed carefully. They both felt that they didn't need to buy any luxury cars. After all, there was no need to show off. An ordinary car was enough. Lin Yi suggested buying a chopped pepper fish head for modification, but was rejected by Fang Yi because the electric car could not go too far. That afternoon, Volvo 4S store. Fang Yi was wearing an ordinary t-shirt and jeans, walking in front. Behind her, Lin Yi was wearing a bohemian-style long skirt, which was very eye-catching. This style that ordinary girls find difficult to control was particularly stunning on her. As a pioneer, she had fair and transparent skin and outstanding temperament, and attracted a lot of attention as soon as she entered the door. Just then, someone outside the door also looked in curiously, as if curious about what caused the movement in the store. After just one look, her sight froze. I was wondering, isn't this Qingli's ex-boyfriend who has someone in the army and was personally welcomed by the principal? Wang Lu was stunned. She went out for a walk and actually ran into her roommate's ex-boyfriend. And this guy is still buying cars for other girls. She immediately took out her mobile phone and sent a message to Chu Qingli. Qingli, do you know who I saw? Picture. He actually came to Volvo to buy a car. Buy it for a very beautiful and elegant girl. At the same time, in a certain examination room in Kang City, there were crowds of people outside the venue, and everyone was holding books to do the final review. Chu Qingli was reciting books with her long hair in a neat and tidy style. She was particularly conspicuous among the dusty candidates. After seeing the message sent by her roommate, Chu Qingli just replied coldly. So what? These few days, she has been taking exams in other cities. Fortunately, she was not in Tai City when the disaster happened in Tai City, and she has not returned yet. After replying to the message, Chu Qingli closed the book, raised her head and looked at the sky, with a faint feeling in her eyes. Did he buy a car? It seems that he also has good opportunities after separation. Unfortunately, the gap between us is not so easy to cross. Chu Qingli occasionally misses her innocent and beautiful first love, but it can't resist the cruel reality. Candidates, please enter the examination room and prepare for the exam. The radio broadcast sounded. Candidates walked into the examination room in a sparse manner. Chu Qingli also stood up and stepped into the examination room. The golden sunlight behind her sprinkled on the ground, dragging her shadow very long. Finally, Fang Yi and Lin Yi drove a Volvo XC90 out of the 4S store. As for why they chose Volvo, in the driver's seat, Lin Yi's hands were very awkward in fiddling with the steering wheel, and it seemed that her left and right hands had different ideas, and she was racking her brains to recall the content of the first subject she had taken the exam. Brother, this is the right way to turn, right? What does this button do? Is the turn signal up or down? Why are you looking at me with such distrust? I got my driver's license in just 1 month, I promise you will have a great experience. Quote. Fang Yi couldn't directly evaluate his cousin's driving skills, so he could only hold the handle and repeat the same sentence helplessly. Slow down, safety first. In his cousin's car, Fang Yi experienced what it was like to be on edge for the first time. I didn't even blink when I killed an A+ level anomaly. I didn't even dare to let go of the safety handrail when I sat in your car. In a sense, the threat of his cousin driving is much greater than that of an A+ level anomaly. How is it, brother? My driving skills are pretty good, right? Lin Yi asked for credit. You drive very well, don't drive next time. The Spirit Association is very efficient. The window repairmen specially transferred by Su Qingying came to the door. Several muscular men came in with toolboxes. I don't know if it was an illusion, but as soon as they came in, the space suddenly became much more cramped, and even breathing was a bit difficult. Yi, do you think our house is a bit small? Seeing the repairman standing in the living room, he almost bumped into people when he turned around. Lin Yi nodded. Glancing at Fang Yi, he shrank his neck and said, we only have 2 million left. Isn't it too extravagant to change houses? Money is something outside of the body. You are so vulgar. Fang Yi shook his head slightly. Do you think it's possible to get someone to give us a house? Lin Yi was stunned for a moment. Brother, have you been reading some crooked-mouthed Dragon King novels recently? Read less. Who would give them a house for no reason? Even her mother didn't give one, so how could she expect a kind stranger? Yi, you're too narrow-minded. Fang Yi waved her hand, motioning her to lean closer. After a whisper, Lin Yi's beautiful eyes widened slightly, and the look she gave her cousin was like a black-hearted white tofu. Brother didn't expect you to be so black-hearted with thick eyebrows and big eyes, but with your status, you should at least get a villa, right? You still say I'm black-hearted. You didn't let them go either. The brother and sister smiled at each other. At the same time. Chu. Su Qingying sneezed loudly as soon as she stepped out of the gate of the Tai City Spiritual Association. She looked up at the sky with a little confusion. The sun was shining, and the wind was blowing and the weather was fine. Could it be that the air conditioner was turned on too high and she caught a cold? Without thinking too much, Su Qingying showed a cheerful smile on her face, lowered her head and sent the address to Fang Yi, then stood quietly in the shade of the tree at the door and waited. She was in a good mood today. She had just received a notice that her original mission had been cancelled. After all, Tai City had just experienced such a disaster, and the members of the spiritual association were all busy, and the reason why she escaped was because she received a call that could not be refused. Lin Yi, the cousin of the undertaker, said that they bought a car and asked her to go out for a ride. As soon as she reported it to the spiritual association immediately gave her a leave, and asked her to accompany the undertaker and if one day's leave was not enough, she could come for another day. This is the power of the captain of the pioneers of Tai City at present. The spiritual association also looked flattered. After all, this is a good opportunity to understand the undertaker. This guy is mysterious to the outside, but is he not mysterious to the inside? His strength is strong, and he is the biggest helper of the spiritual association in the future. It is also the signboard of Tai City now. You can learn more about his personality and preferences, and you can also carry out actions around him in the future. Beep. The sound of a horn brought her back to her thoughts. Su Qingying saw a white SUV coming towards her, and Lin Yi waved at her. This car didn't look cheap. Su Qingying got in the car and found that the person in the driver's seat was Fang Yi. Brother Fang, I didn't disturb you at work, did I? I bought a new car, and Yi said she would share it with you first, so I called you. No. Su Qingying smiled brightly, thinking that the captain of Taishi personally drove me for a ride, so it was not too much to disturb me every day during my paid vacation. Fang Yi drove the car very steadily, like sailing on a calm lake. The swaying made people feel relaxed. A lot of buildings in Tai City were damaged this time. Many places need to be rebuilt, right? Well, there was a plan to renovate the old city. This time, we can repair them together and save demolition. How are the injured pioneers in your team? They are all waiting for treatment in the best medical cabins. The pioneers themselves have strong physical fitness, and medical resources are unconditionally tilted towards the pioneers. They are expected to be discharged in a few days. That's good. I saw the Spiritual Association issued a regulation on the unification of pioneers on the forum. It is indeed time to do so. Now the number of pioneers in various places is increasing. If they are not unified as soon as possible, it is inevitable that some people will go astray. Yes, the Spiritual Association thinks so too. Su Qingying and Lin Yi chatted casually, and Fang Yi occasionally said a few words. This scene of being slightly drunk in the sunlight and driving around gave Su Qingying a few illusions. I feel that I have become friends with Brother Fang and Yi. Brother, we finally have a car. It's great to have a car. Listening to Lin Yi's words, Su Qingying's mouth curled up, feeling warm. The relationship between the brother and sister is very good. Yes, we have a car, but I don't know when we can have a house. Yes, our house is too small. It would be better if our house could be bigger. Wait, why is it that the more I listen, the more wrong it is? Su Qingying sat up slightly, listened carefully, and found that the conversation began to repeat. It's a pity that if I had money, I would buy a big house for my brother, but I am still a poor student. Although I didn't go to college, your brother is also a student, alas. I really want a big house. Why do these two brothers and sisters seem to be talking to her specifically? Sweating a little, but the villa is so expensive. It would be great if someone could give us one. Oh my god, it's just for me. Okay, she finally understood what the brother and sister meant by calling her out today. Su Qingying couldn't help but smile bitterly. Saving Taishi, what's a villa for? Give. In the end, they were a little ignorant. Fang Yi saved Taishi, and it was reasonable to give him a reward, but she was too busy some time ago, and she felt that Brother Fang didn't care about that little money, so she forgot about it. However, in fact, it was also because the Spiritual Association didn't know Fang Yi and his sister. For such powerful pioneers, the Spiritual Association has always been generous. Well, how about the Spiritual Association give you a villa? Su Qingying tried. Snap. Lin Yi grabbed Su Qingying's hand. This is not good. Her eyes were full of stars. Sure enough, they came prepared. Fang Yi coughed lightly. We don't lack a place to live, just a casual remark, don't take it to heart. Su Qingying didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This brother and sister looked aloof, but they actually had such a contrasting side in private. Faced with Fang Yi's polite tug, she naturally refuted with great enthusiasm. Brother Fang has sealed the A+ anomaly, and it is reasonable for the Thai City Spirit Association to express its gratitude. It's settled. I'll give you a villa, and you are not allowed to refuse. I'll go back and file a report. The efficiency of the Spiritual Association is very high. The next day, Fang Yi had a complete villa under his name, which was decorated and furnished, and even the decoration costs were saved. And probably because the relevant departments had notified him, Fang Yi got the green light all the way, and the handover procedures went very smoothly. Brother, we actually have a villa. Lin Yi felt a little dizzy. Her family was also an ordinary family, better than the lower class but not as good as the upper class. This was the first time she had the opportunity to live in a villa. This wave, can it be regarded as relying on her brother to achieve class leap? Wipe your saliva, Fang Yi deliberately joked. The brother and sister had a good relationship when they were young, but later Fang Yi didn't want to cause trouble and alienated his aunt's family, which led to a lot of estrangement between the two. Now after a period of cohabitation, the relationship has gradually returned to childhood. In theory, they can move in with their bags after buying a house, but just when they were about to move, Gulan called at the right time. Oh, our Captain Fang, I heard that the Spiritual Association recently gave you a villa. Tisk, the Spiritual Association's style is still the same as always, they like to give away houses and benefits. I won't be surprised if they pay for your air tickets to travel abroad next time. Fang Yi looked at the house deeds with a total value of 27 million in his hand, and said from the heart, in fact, I think this habit of the Spiritual Association is quite good, and it can be maintained. You don't have to speak well for them. I know you look down on those copper-smelling things, but for now, there is no better reward than this. After a while, those spiritual fruits that have revived spiritual energy will take root and sprout, and the Spiritual Association should be able to give you one to let you taste it. Gulan said, no, I really think it's good. I suggest that they give me a house in Shen City next time. It would be best if my properties are spread all over the country, and I can live a life of wearing flip-flops and going out to collect rent every day. Fang Yi's wish is actually so plain and boring. By the way, do you have time recently? I have a mission, it's an internal mission of the military region, it's a bit risky, but the reward is okay. Do you know the Tianbao building in Kang City? Fang Yi recalled that he seemed to have seen it when he was browsing the news. The news mentioned it lightly. The Tianbao building in Kang City is very famous. It is the Nanboan of Kang City. As a result, it is now blocked for unknown reasons, causing many people to complain. The blockade of the building is not a big deal, and it is not a small matter. Generally, even if it is reported in the news, it will appear on the local public account of Kang City. But Fang Yi, who is far away in Thai City, has seen it, which is very subtle. What happened over there? Recently, there have been frequent abnormal disturbances in various places. Didn't Taishi just have an A+ level abnormal invasion? A similar situation also occurred in Kangxi, but it was not as serious as Taishi. The Tianbao building over there was originally intended to be built as a landmark building, but it was invaded by an abnormality and is now blocked. This was originally the task of the Kangxi Spiritual Association, but they were short of manpower recently, so they asked the military district for help. Now, this task has been transferred to the military district. Gulan was also a little helpless. Not only the Spiritual Association, but in fact, the military district was also short of manpower. Abnormalities were erupting everywhere, and the number of pioneers had not yet been fully counted, so they had to run around the world. Kangxi. That's a bit far. Fang Yi wanted to refuse at the first time. The reason was simple, too far. Driving on the highway, even if you take turns driving non-stop, it will take a full 10 hours. If you want to take a plane or a high-speed rail, then what's the point of buying a car? But the reward given by Gulan is even more vulgar than that of the Spiritual Association. It's a bit far, so the military region will reimburse all the airfare and hotel expenses, and your expenses there can also be reimbursed. After the matter is completed, there will be 5 million in cash. 5 million, Fang Yi said directly, I'll go. The next morning, in the first-class cabin of the plane, Fang Yi took off his eye mask and walked towards the shuttle bus. Outside the airport, a black car had been waiting for a long time. They arrived at the place quickly. Fang Yi was the last one to arrive. The rest of the people arrived one after another within 5 minutes. Including Fang Yi, there were 3 men and 2 women in total. It is worth mentioning that none of them looked good. A short-haired woman and another man who was over 1.9 meters tall came together. They had a strong evil spirit and sat down with their backs straight. They should be from the military district. The man and woman on the other side looked very similar to Su Qingying. They should be from the Spirit Association. Fang Yi introduced himself and then closed his eyes to rest, and did not participate in their discussion. After a brief introduction, several people became familiar with each other. The main person in charge this time should be the short-haired female soldier from the military district. She briefly introduced the situation of Tianbao building, which was not much different from what Fang Yi knew. Okay, everyone, we are going to be temporary teammates this time. Although I don't know your strength, I think we should be able to agree on one thing. After entering, we have to help each other, no problem. Naturally, no one had any questions. The personnel this time are quite mixed, and it seems that people are indeed transferred from all over. Among them, only Fang Yi is not currently in office, because he does not have an official bracelet on his hand. Moreover, Fang Yi's aura is restrained, and his specific strength cannot be detected, which immediately aroused the curiosity of the others. The 2 pioneers of the military district exchanged glances. Didn't Sister Jia say that she invited a great god for us? Could it be him? Not sure, he looks a little thin. Military district office. Jia Lan is dealing with things. Recently, the abnormal movements in various places are very strange. Even she was caught to take charge of things and can't be idle for a moment. And at this moment, she received a call. It was from the Kang City Spirit Association. The person in charge on the other end of the phone was in a hurry and panicked. Tianbao building has fallen. At present, the abnormal appearance of the Ghost Axe 7 stars has been discovered, and the number of casualties is known to be 30. Please pay attention. Gulan knew that Tianbao building was occupied by abnormalities, but she didn't expect that casualties had occurred in such a short time. However, when she thought of the person she sent, she immediately had a bottom line in her heart. The Undertaker went there in person, and nothing would happen to Tianbao building. Don't worry, I won't take this kind of thing lightly, not to mention that with him here, nothing will go wrong, I promise you. Him, who is on this mission? The person in charge of Kang City had a strange thought in his mind. Could it be that the strong men of the military district were dispatched? Since the task has been handed over to us, don't ask too much. This is the rule of the military district. Gulan's voice became cold. The 2 military district officers have been observing their teammates. Before they came, they received a message from Gulan. It was said that a great god was invited. Sister Gulan did not describe the foreign aid in detail, but the word, great god, left a lot of room for imagination. The great god that Sister Gulan mentioned, I thought it would be a tough guy in his 40s or 50s, why does he look so down to earth? 2 pairs of eyes swept back and forth on Fang Yi, incredible and very puzzling. This look, not to say that it is exactly the same as a tough guy, can be said to be completely unrelated. It rains a lot in Kang City in summer, and people often get rained on while walking on the road, so people on the street basically wear slippers. Considering this, Fang Yi got up early to catch the plane, and dressed very simply, a casual t-shirt, white shorts, and a pair of slippers, which can be said to be very in line with the local customs. It is difficult to substitute the image of the college student in front of him who went out to surf the internet into the great foreign aid invited by the military district. But the car that just picked him up had 4 6s in the license plate number. That was the special car of the Xingshan military district. Ordinary people without a certain status were not qualified to see this license plate. The fact that the military district sent this car to pick him up was enough to prove that Fang Yi had a very high status, although he himself did not seem to care. Maybe, all masters are so low-key. When you mention it, I think of a person, the captain who made a lot of noise in Tai City before, codenamed the Undertaker. It is said that an A+ level anomaly was about to be hatched, and he cut off the reincarnation path with one knife. He was so cruel, but very low-key. The level of the anomaly is determined by the degree of casualties that may be caused and the growth ability of the anomaly. In the case of an A-level anomaly invasion, the estimated casualties in Thai City were much higher than this, but the Undertaker greatly reduced this number. Yes, but the Undertaker seems to have never shown his face in front of people, and he himself doesn't seem to read the forum much. In short, there is no news at all. Didn't someone from the neighboring high city go to him before? They just said that the Undertaker was very strong, and there was no follow-up. The level is different. With their existence, we are no different from ants under his feet. How can they have time to care about us? From this, it can be concluded that masters are all low-key. The Undertaker is so popular in Chicago now, but he has never shown his face from beginning to end. It is no exaggeration to say that if he is an internet celebrity, his current popularity is enough to make him have a huge fortune to achieve economic freedom. It must be said that after the quarrel between the two sides of the forum, the popularity of The Undertaker did not decrease but increased. The reason was that someone in the forum quarreled too much. In order to refute with reason and evidence, he went directly to the internal information of the Spirit Association to check the information. As a result, after reading it, he turned from black to fan and directly joined the opponent. The slogan is that the captain of Thai City must be The Undertaker. The strong are respected, and strength is supreme. The story of The Undertaker illustrates a point very well. In the face of absolute strength, all rumors and slander are false. It seems that the position of Captain Taishi has been settled. Yes, I heard that he has a knife in his hand, which can cremate everything. He has high-level attributes and extremely terrifying strength. He is worthy of being a pioneer leader in the city. We're here. Suddenly, the person walking in the front stopped, and the rustling communication stopped. Everyone looked up at the towering building in front of them. Tianbao Building. The sky above the building was covered with dark clouds and it was pitch black. The originally clean glass was covered with a layer of black fog, becoming blurry. From the outside, it was impossible to see what was going on inside. What's that on the window? It seems to be blood. Several people looked at each other, their faces changed, and their eyes became very heavy. It was not just the black fog that blocked their vision, but there were actually patches of blood behind the black fog, as if someone had poured a whole basin of blood on the window like ink, blurring out a large pattern. Looking from the outside of the window, it would be difficult for people to survive with such a large amount of bleeding. At this moment, the girl from the military district frowned and said, "The building is relatively narrow inside. As far as I know, the building has a total of 40 floors, which is a relatively tall building in Kang City, and there are more than 2,000 employees inside. It should be a temporary estimate to say that there are 30 casualties. After all, no one knows the situation inside." As soon as these words came out, everyone's face suddenly became uglier. 2,000 people. For ordinary people, it is like a tiger to a weak rabbit. In a closed environment, no matter how the rabbit escapes, it is impossible to escape from the palm of the tiger. The casualties inside will never be small, and may even far exceed the number given by the military district. What's more terrifying is, some anomalies rely on devouring living people to complete their evolution. The greater the number of casualties, the stronger the anomalies they will face after entering, and the more troublesome the situation will be. There was a leisurely atmosphere along the way, which completely disappeared at this moment. Everyone showed a serious look. What they are going to face next is not enough to keep them leisurely. Before coming, the basic structural diagram of the building had been sent to them, but the internal structure of this building is relatively complex, and many places can be interconnected. Those dark corners that are not easy to detect are likely to become ambush points for anomalies at this moment. After saying this, the short-haired girl Song Yu cast her eyes on Fang Yi. "My information ends here, and the next thing is up to you. Sister Galan said that everything must be done under your command. Do you have any strategic deployment?" As soon as this was said, it immediately attracted everyone's curious eyes. The people in the military region had already guessed all the way, and now they are still somewhat mentally prepared, but the specialists from the Spiritual Association glanced at Fang Yi's wrist without any bracelets in confusion. People who have not joined the official can also be commanders. What strategic deployment is there? We are in the dark now. Let's go in and take a look at the situation first, Fang Yi said lightly. As soon as he said this, the atmosphere around him gradually cooled down. Others were a little unhappy. Everyone present had rich experience in dealing with abnormalities. Before they carried out any mission, they had to carry out basic pre-war deployment, at least they had to understand everyone's ability, right? Starting like this without any preparation, it turned out that they had not received official training and lacked experience in this area, but no one said anything. Before the mission began, the most taboo was to have conflicts within the group. They knew this very well. At most, they would just act according to circumstances. Among the group, only Song Yu from the military district had no expression. She looked at Fang Yi with some curiosity, and her heart moved slightly. Jia Lan was her friend. The two were of similar age and went to the military district to work at about the same time. They became familiar with each other after a while. She was very curious about Fang Yi. The man in front of her was a great god invited by Jia Lan from other cities. Was this the confidence of a strong man? Chapter 91. There is a hidden ladder at the bottom of the building. Although it is a bit dark, you can enter the building by walking along the passage. It was originally an abandoned passage, but now it has become extremely dark, and there are mottled bloodstains on it. Everyone followed Fang Yi in a long line, and the people behind him whispered. Is it reliable or not? Even if this person is really capable, isn't this a bit too crazy? Just then, suddenly, a dark and gloomy figure suddenly appeared, like a killer in the dark night. A hissing sound could be heard vaguely. Everyone didn't see what it was, but felt a shadow passing by instantly. No one reacted. Then a red knife light suddenly appeared. Puff! The next second, something broke into two pieces in the air, and the bloody fragments fell like rain, making a terrible crash on the ground, emitting an indescribable stench. The whole process was so fast that it only took the time for the eyelids to touch. And, I haven't seen what the abnormality looks like yet, and it was killed in 1 second. What a fast knife. The people behind rubbed their eyes subconsciously, and looked at the figure in front of them with a sword in horror. Draw the sword, the whole process is faster than they blink. Song Yu stepped forward, looked down at the thing that fell to the ground, and her beautiful eyes shrank suddenly. It was a black gecko with irregular tumors all over its skin, as if it was the trace of the plague raging on it, extremely twisted and ugly. The blood on the ground was emitting a strong and decayed smell at this moment, which was frightening. This turned out to be a Ghost Axe 5-star abnormality. What? There is already a 5-star abnormality here. Ghost Axe 5-star, how many people have been eaten? Wait, thinking of another point, their eyes were dull. Ghost Axe 5-star abnormality was killed by that person with a sword. This abnormality is 5 stars, I am also 5 stars, I equals abnormality. Then can't he kill me in one blow? Great, so strong. I'm sweating a little, luckily he's my teammate. Several people couldn't help sweating, and their eyes looking at Fang Yi were a little complicated. This man was too scary. Suddenly, they had the illusion that they had found a golden thigh in this mission. What was going on? Hurry up, we have to go in quickly. Just then, the golden thigh in the front spoke. Okay. Several people hurried to catch up. At this moment, Fang Yi frowned slightly, and he scanned the surrounding environment. The 5-star anomaly just now made him feel a little uneasy. This passage is relatively remote. Even here, there is a 5-star anomaly. Those places where people gather are in danger. Maybe they have completely fallen. There were originally 2,000 people in this building. If they delay for a second, someone will die. They are trapped here and can't get out. 30 casualties. You are kidding, Fang Yi said coldly. 30, maybe you have to add a 0 at the end. Upon hearing this, the people behind him immediately quickened their pace. Even they themselves did not realize that at this moment, all of them were following Fang Yi closely, not leaving him. What they said before, that they would act according to circumstances after entering, had long been forgotten. Following the boss closely is the kingly way. Sure enough, the attitude he showed before was based on his powerful strength. Soon, the team passed through the dark passage and stepped into the building. On the way, they encountered several anomalies one after another. Without exception, they were all killed by Fang Yi with one knife. While feeling that Fang Yi was reliable, the hearts of others were getting heavier and heavier. So many anomalies were rushing on the road as if no one was around, so where were the people in this place? Where were the pioneers who were sent in before? Where did they all go? Could it be? After walking out of the passage, they came to the first floor. At this time, there were several holes in the originally shiny floor, and dark bloodstains were everywhere, winding all over the ground, as if you could see the miserable situation of someone being bitten and struggling by anomalies. The front desk at the door was rotten beyond recognition, with glass everywhere, and the ground was in ruins. Have you found anyone? No, I didn't see anyone. This place has been cleared out. Several people separated and gathered again, but the news they got was that no one was seen. Seeing this, Fang Yi frowned even more tightly. Go to the second floor. The situation on the second floor was even more disgusting. The elevator was full of bloody handprints. As soon as the elevator door was opened, an abnormality rushed head-on. Its fangs were sharp and blood was flowing. It was not surprising that it was killed by Fang Yi again. Here is no one. Strange, I saw a lot of blood, but I didn't see a corpse. Is this reasonable? Could it be that it was eaten by an abnormality? Anomalies do like to eat flesh and blood, but they can't swallow even bones, right? Is it starving? Are they hungry and indiscriminate? Everyone was confused, and they subconsciously cast their eyes on Fang Yi, asking for his opinion. Unconsciously, they have regarded him as the backbone. In this regard, Fang Yi felt that things were even worse. Keep going upstairs. The third floor, the fourth floor, the fifth floor. As they went up floor by floor, the feeling of something was wrong became stronger and stronger. They felt as if they were climbing a building that they could never see the end of, but each floor was the same as the last one, as if they were trapped in a strange curse. Suddenly, Fang Yi stopped, staring at the lifeless building in front of him. His heart sank to the bottom of the valley. Did you feel it? What? The others were stunned. Along the way, they killed several anomalies, and they were not like Fang Yi who could solve them with one knife. At this moment, almost everyone was a little embarrassed. Their clothes were messy, but fortunately they were not injured. This is not the building we are looking for, Fang Yi said in a deep voice. At this moment, everyone raised their heads and looked in the direction of his sight. There was endless black fog surging there, like a black sea surging, and no light could be seen. What does it mean that it is not a building? Could it be that they went the wrong way? This is impossible. The officials personally sent them to the door, but Fang Yi couldn't say anything. What did he mean by wrong? We have reached the 7th floor. You have looked for every floor before, right? However, you didn't see a single employee, not even a person, only the occasional abnormality. After Fang Yi said this, everyone suddenly realized what was wrong with the feeling that had been lingering in their hearts. Yes, along the way, they didn't see a single person, let alone a living person, not even a dead person. This building is indeed dead, but not the kind of dullness of a dead person, more like inner darkness. Fang Yi uttered a few words. Everyone is on the dark side, and we are on the other side. The inner world of darkness. What is that? Is it related to the dark attribute? What does Brother Fang mean when he says they are not in the same place as us? Is there any secret compartment in this building that we cannot see? The unfamiliar term made everyone present confused. Even Song Yu and others in the military zone had never heard of this name. Of course they couldn't know this, because even in the military's information, this was a high-level secret that they could not touch. Everything related to the dark attribute is like seeing flowers in the fog for the current officials. They are groping and collecting at the same time, but collecting relevant information about the dark attribute is the most troublesome, because everyone who can touch the dark attribute is dead. The officials currently have no good collection methods for the dark attribute, and a lot of information is missing, and they naturally can't think that such a high-level secret would be involved in a small B-level event. Just then, Fang Yi closed his eyes, as if sensing something. Everyone was keenly aware that the air suddenly became heavier. Originally, only the black fog of the dark attribute continued to emit an uncomfortable breath, but now, a stronger evil breath gushed out. The black lines crawling all over Fang Yi's back suddenly twisted, as if they suddenly came alive, and the totem slowly lit up, like a pair of indescribable eyes opened in the void. A tyrannical and deep evil aura burst out from the totem. The evil aura was like a dense net, completely covering everyone. Everyone felt as if their heads were hit hard by a sledgehammer, leaving only a mass of brains scattered into a paste. Hiss. My head hurts. Everyone was affected more severely at once. Some people turned pale, some people kept having some painful thoughts in their minds, and some even suddenly had the will to die, and wanted to insert the knife in their hands used to kill the abnormalities into their abdomens and then roll around twice. These are all the effects of the dark attribute. Song Yu covered her ears tightly, and the shrieking tinnitus was like sharp nails scratching glass. The noise rushed straight into her skull and stirred fiercely in her mind. There was no sound around, but she did hear it in her chaotic mind. The sound kept ringing and was about to drive her crazy. This is the dark attribute. The horror of the dark attribute is not an exaggeration. It may not attack people directly, but it will lead you step by step to depravity and fear. It will magnify even the smallest desire in people's hearts and then lead them to destroy people from the inside. It is like an invisible gray tumor. You don't know where it comes from or where it grows. The moment you notice it, you have become a captive of darkness. This is why the dark attribute is the most troublesome for the official. Killing people invisibly. Moreover, it is everywhere. You think you have killed the source of the dark attribute, but maybe it is just spreading the dark attribute again. What's more terrifying is that the official can't capture the dark attribute at all. Just like this Tianbao building, it is full of black fog at a glance, but you can't find the source of darkness at all, so it is difficult to completely eradicate it. There are also traces of dark attributes in this building, but they are too weak to penetrate the aura shield of the Forerunner. But just now, a pure dark attribute suddenly erupted, as if the floodgates were artificially opened, without the shackles, unbridled. Everyone was hit by the powerful dark attribute. At this moment, Fang Yi suddenly opened his eyes, his heart moved slightly. It's true. Found it. The door to the dark inner world. The moment he opened his eyes, the light of the totem behind him gradually went out, as if he fell into a deep sleep again, and the black breath was like a shapeless wing retracted into the totem again. At this moment, everyone felt their heads lighten. The terrifying breath suddenly disappeared. Everyone woke up, and someone opened her eyes and found that she had stood by the window without knowing when, and was about to jump down, which scared her so much that she got goosebumps all over her body. What a terrifying dark attribute. Just now, I was almost confused by the dark attribute. I felt like my brain was pierced through, and it's still shaking. My brain seems to be stuck together, and my consciousness is a little fuzzy. Just now, did you feel the same way? Song Yu was breathing heavily, and her back was soaked with cold sweat. She looked at Fang Yi with a flash of light in her eyes. Brother Fang, are you okay? At this moment, Fang Yi, who didn't even sweat a drop and had a very normal expression, seemed out of place in the crowd of people. I'm fine. With the transformation of Yang attribute, Fang Yi was not worried about the erosion of dark attribute, which is why he dared to implant dark attribute directly into his back. What's more, this is his own dark attribute. Song Yu was stunned. In the moment of fainting just now, she seemed to see the dark and powerful power released from the spine behind Fang Yi. Was it her illusion? But Fang Yi's next words made her have no time to think about these. Let's go back to the dark inner world. Have you seen the movie? There are some scenes in the movie where you push open a door and walk into another world, probably another dimension. The inner world, you can call it whatever you want, and the dark inner world is such an existence. What we see is only the Tianbao building on the surface. In fact, those anomalies and survivors are all hidden on the other side of the black fog. I have already felt that inner world. I just tried it. Come, I will take you in. Fang Yi touched the door. As long as he passed the door, he could enter the dark inner world where others were. Everyone listened to his popular science and nodded repeatedly. So this is what the inner world means. If you want to go through the door, you have to report back quickly. Any relevant information about the dark attribute is extremely precious. No, what did he say just now? Take us in. Everyone was stunned and turned their heads to look at Fang Yi, as if they were looking at a monster walking out of a book. No, it's not a monster. It might be more appropriate to say that he is a god. Are you kidding? This kind of thing is close to being a god, right? The dark inner world can be understood as two worlds divided by the dark attribute. If you want to pass through, you must pass through the dark area in the middle. They have just experienced the strange and evil aura of the dark attribute. Even if there is only a trace of pure dark attribute aura, it will make the strong pioneers in their hearts shaken and even have the will to die. If you go directly through the door constructed by the dark attribute and go to the inner world, wouldn't everyone be crazy when you get there? Perhaps sensing their concerns, Fang Yi spoke. You don't have to worry about any problems when you pass through. In order to open up an inner world, there is very little dark attribute left here. I can guarantee that you will not be affected. Song Yu's pupils shrank suddenly. The corrosive effect of the dark attribute is pervasive. Even the most powerful pioneers can't guarantee that there is no danger. People in the military district can't do it. He can even do this. But Fang Yi didn't say much. Seeing that everyone had recovered, he stretched out his hand. Originally, he was in the hall, surrounded by empty space, and the nearest door was 10 meters away. But now, when Fang Yi stretched out his hand, the outline of a door gradually emerged on the other side of his hand. It was an extremely dark door, with a strong and pungent smell of decay and a chilly air. Let's go. Everyone followed Fang Yi into the door. Cold, bone-piercing cold. Everyone felt as if they had stepped into an ice cellar, with darkness in front of them, and only Fang Yi's back was walking in front, as if they had stepped into the depths of darkness, without seeing the light of day. We're here. Before they could feel anything. The next second, the light of day returned. A brand new Tianbao building appeared in front of everyone. Compared with the previous scene, the scene in front of them was completely changed. The stinking smell of blood came into the nose, and there were corpses lying on the ground under their feet, lying in all directions, some with only the body, and some with the head and facial features eaten away. In the mess, there were several abnormalities moving. One of the abnormalities was gnawing on the corpse, making the sound of eating. Swish! The knife flashed across the sky. The next second, the abnormality broke apart and fell, revealing only a hideous and terrifying face, with blood and flesh still on the corners of its mouth, and its hollow eyes staring at Fang Yi's direction. Even the team members who were used to seeing big storms couldn't help but gasp when they saw this scene. So many. There are too many. Not only corpses, but also countless anomalies. For a moment, the team members had no time to sigh after passing through the dark inner world, and they all looked tense and looked at the scene in front of them as if facing a great enemy. Why are there so many anomalies here? Not only anomalies, but also corpses. These dead people are all ordinary employees of Tianbao building. They have been dead for a long time. There are no living people in this corridor. This place has become a paradise for anomalies. There are only broken corpses and anomalies eating. These beasts are not good. The eyes of the people in the military district were red. The responsibility engraved in their blood made this scene particularly dazzling in their eyes. But soon, they saw a scene that they would never forget. Before entering the dark inner world, Song Yu had boldly guessed whether this godlike foreign aide mentioned by Galan was a relative she tried to insert into the military district. After all, the military district has strict assessments. Many people who want to join the military district will start by participating in the tasks issued by the military district. In the interview assessment, these tasks will become their beautiful resumes. But before she could think clearly, the next second, swoosh, amid the abnormal eating sound like the tide, there was a long metal sound. Someone drew a sword. Song Yu looked up and could only see the ancient Tang sword drawing across in the air at an extreme speed. In just a moment, a blazing flame spewed out from the blade, and the rolling flames seemed to burn the three realms with the flames of a red lotus, and the light surged away. The flames spewed out as long as 20 meters, with an explosion effect. In a few seconds, the flames filled the deep and long black corridor, like an angry fire dragon, cutting the face like a hot wind knife passing by. Everyone was there, seeing the entire corridor ignited by the flames, the blazing and sacred flames, as if they could wash away all sins, and everything that could be burned was burned. There was a bang in the flames, as if it was the wail of some beast in its dying struggle. The earth shook, the buried water pipes burst, the water column gushed like a spring, and the statues placed on the table collapsed. Everything was like the end of the world as recorded in the book. And in front of the end of the world, everyone is as small as dust. In front of this flame, a black shadow stood with a knife, and his voice was very light. Abnormalities harm people. You are all innocent. These abnormalities will be buried with you. The dazzling flames cut the corridor in front of him, abnormalities, corpses, everything was burned. A stream of red-hot smoke and flames, as bright as the sun, slowly rose. The terrible scorching heat made all the dead in front of him like burnt tree trunks. Red fire sword technique plus internal flame, itself is a destructive field. Anyone who touches the flame will turn into ashes. At this moment, the corridor in front of him looked like it had experienced a small nuclear explosion. However, it is unfair for you to walk the road to the afterlife with these beasts. Fang Yi looked at the flames all over the sky. The blade in his hand flashed with magma-like brilliance, red and bright as flowing flames. The abnormalities were burned out in midair, the bones were shattered and fell like rain, and the bodies of those ordinary people were shattered together. At this moment, everyone stared at the blazing flames in front of them with wide eyes, shocked by the explosion scene full of violent aesthetics. So cool. Song Yu's heart was pounding. She unconsciously took a step back, accidentally stepped on an abnormal corpse and blood plasma flew out, but she had no time to care. One knife cremation. Is it a bit exaggerated? Thousands of degrees of high temperature condensed, and swaying fire snakes twisted and rose into the air. The fire swept the entire corridor and cleared all the abnormalities in an instant. If they, the pioneers, were to deal with it, it would take at least a lot of time to hack and kill them one by one. Too scary. Wait, why do I feel that this scene seems familiar? One knife cremation. Am I seeing right? Their pupils shrank, as if they thought of the identity of the great god invited by Galan. Does Galan have such great power? He was invited. Nowadays, most of the pioneers in the whole Sha country have hidden their identities. Now the spiritual association is collecting the information of all pioneers. However, it is estimated that it will take a year or two to collect them completely. However, there are some pioneers who are extremely powerful and cannot hide their tracks at all. For example, the sword pioneer in Kang City who cut out the golden sky with one sword. His code name is only 2 words, swordsman. There is also the mysterious pioneer in Jiyu City who has mastered the wood attribute, known as Senluo Wanxiang. It is said that when fighting, he can create a terrifying forest and choose people to devour. However, these are all the news that their cities have hyped up and released. It is unknown whether they are true or not. Only one person has truly experienced the test. The captain who handles the A+ level anomalies in Tai City, the Undertaker. One knife cremation is his famous scene and his synonym. So, Galan has such great power. He actually invited the Undertaker. The Undertaker is just as his name suggests. Is it really a one-knife burial? It's not an exaggeration at all. He is as decisive as a king, or a tyrant. If the flames are his people, then he is the absolute controller of the flames. I now firmly believe that the anomalies in Tai City were cremated by him with one knife. I actually hugged such a golden thigh in the mission. Everyone was a little dizzy. It was the first time they saw the legendary Undertaker. They didn't expect him to be dressed so casually and act so casually killing people with one knife. Since you are already in, deal with it as soon as possible. You are responsible for saving people, and leave the rest of the anomalies to me. Fang Yi said coldly. When the Tang sword is unsheathed, the killing will surely begin. In front of a powerful person, there is no equal battle at all. The final fate of these anomalies is to die like ants like their companions. Okay, understood. Everyone answered subconsciously. At this moment, no one would refute Fang Yi's words. If Fang Yi asked them to do something when they were outside before, they would still whisper in their hearts. But now, they have guessed Fang Yi's identity, and everything is solved. The Undertaker, that's the Undertaker. The boss who handles A+ level anomalies alone, the super boss who saved a city. With him leading the team, the casualty rate must be reduced by 30%. Among all the people, Song Yu, who is a good friend of Galan, was the most surprised. No wonder Galan said confidently that she invited a great god. It turned out to be the Undertaker of Tai City. This time she really pretended. I have to say that Galan is a really reliable sister. If there is a great god, she really invited it. Song Yu had also heard about the keyboard dispute in the forum. The Taishi incident was too famous, and the name of the Undertaker was too big. As the saying goes, a tall tree attracts the wind, and he was the one standing at the cusp of the storm. Many people complained about him and felt that the Taishi Spiritual Association was exaggerating too much. The most reliable guest song you had seen before was that the Taishi Spiritual Association attributed everyone's efforts to one person and tried to create a god. But now, everyone has seen it. The Undertaker is not a god that was piled up, he himself is an omnipotent existence close to the gods. Those who hit hard online will definitely go up and lick the Undertaker once they see him in reality. Just like them, people are from the heart. After the task was explained, Fang Yi did not act with them, but turned around and stepped directly into the darkness. In the flickering firelight, his back was strong and firm. Tianbao Building. Anomalies are everywhere, and many anomalies gather on each floor. After a lot of killing and eating, their realms continued to rise, and now they are all at the level of Ghost Axe 5-star. The building has a total of 40 floors, and it is a big project to clean them all up. Swish. The red knife light flashed, and the anomaly that was still gnawing the corpse was beheaded instantly, the head flew out, and a raging fire burned on the body. 15th floor. Fang Yi looked at the floor sign on the side. Along the way, he had killed many anomalies, and all these Ghost Axe 5-star anomalies, all of them together, would not survive for more than a second under his knife. After cleaning this floor, Fang Yi was about to go upstairs. Suddenly, a sharp roar came from the compartment next to him, and then a terrible breath surged out. This breath was very powerful, far exceeding the 5-star anomaly. Fang Yi paused, and a little interest appeared at the corner of his mouth. Here comes an interesting one. The next second, a large bird with red feathers rushed out abnormally. Its feathers were red as if it had been fished out of blood. When it chirped, dense red feathers floated out, wet and revealing an extremely strange breath. Ghost Axe 6 stars is the realm of this abnormality, and its strongest point is not this. The red feathers on its body are corrosive. Once inhaled into the lungs, they will instantly corrode from the inside, and the internal organs will be eaten up by the feathers, and finally pierce the chest of the person and come out and return to its body. Along the way, Fang Yi saw several corpses lying on the ground, with red hairs squirming on their chests. The red hairs seemed to be living tentacles, and they were still sucking the blood of the dead. It turned out that this thing did it, and the means were really disgusting. Vicious. The moment the red-haired abnormality saw Fang Yi, it suddenly burst out with an extremely sharp sound, and the terrifying flesh burst out with a powerful aura. The red hairs instantly became extremely sharp and turned into spears, blooming around it. It sensed that Fang Yi was much stronger than the people it had killed before. The smell of blood from the same kind along the way showed that this person was very strong. Fang Yi made it feel a strong threat. Before it could make a move, boom, Fang Yi took the lead. With a swing of the blade, he quickly slashed at the red-haired bird in front of him. With an unstoppable determination, the flame pattern on the blade suddenly lit up, bursting with surging and blazing flames. A sea of fire. The fire dragon transformed by the red flame flew towards the red-haired bird unreasonably, rushing straight to the bird's head. Boom! The red-haired bird saw that the situation was not good. The spears gathered into a shield and blocked the flames. A soft sneer sounded, as if mocking its arrogance. The next second, the flames burst into a terrifying sound that shook the earth, and then the powerful power swept across the world in an instant. Puff puff puff. The spear exploded, and the red-haired bird was directly burned to ashes in the air. Without the red-haired bird's defense, the bird behind him was directly engulfed by the flames, and the long whistle of unwillingness resounded through the sky. So what if the ghost axe is 6 stars? It can't withstand a knife. The body of the red-haired bird burned in the flames, sizzling, and it was no different from the countless anomalies before. I overestimated you. Looking at the meaty corpse of the bird, Fang Yi was speechless. I thought it was so powerful, but it turned out to be a bluffing beast. In this case, can I report it to the National Anti-Fraud Center? After cleaning up the last remaining anomaly, Fang Yi put away his knife, turned around, and walked down one floor. In the darkness, suddenly, several figures ran out from the stairwell closely. They were the members of the team that followed Fang Yi in. Has the Undertaker finished killing again? Such a fast killing speed, our logistics cleaning team can't even keep up with him. Hey, we came here just to follow him and pick up people, without even having to make a move. It's painful and happy. By the way, is there no living person on this floor? Several people glanced around and skillfully searched for corpses everywhere. There were many corpses on the ground. Along the way, they had searched for nearly 200 bodies. Although they were all dead, they couldn't give up hope. What if someone just fainted? At this moment, a surprised voice came. Found it. There are several survivors here. There are 5 of them. They are all employees of Tianbao building. They hid and were not found by those anomalies. But, why are these people's expressions so strange? The structure of the 15th floor is relatively complex. There is a very hidden single room, which is a confidential room used to store important information. The door is very hard. The silver door made of unknown material is full of unusually sharp scratches, but the door is still not broken. This group of survivors hid here and survived. There is a small window on the door, which can see the situation inside. At this moment, these surviving employees seemed to be scared and stupid, hugging each other with a dull face. Song Yu stepped forward and tried to open the door, but the door was locked from the inside. She had to knock on the door and shouted, "We are military people, we are here to save you, don't be afraid. These monsters outside are dead, you are fine, come out quickly." She gestured and tried her best to communicate with the people inside, but the result was that the people inside had no reaction, not even blinking. He must be scared silly, Song Yu guessed. It is normal that ordinary people cannot bear so many abnormal large-scale invasions. These abnormal strengths have now generally evolved to the Ghost Axe 5 stars. Even the pioneers with lower strength will feel scalp tingling when they see them, not to mention ordinary people. At this moment, the people inside seemed to react suddenly. Seconds. The people inside spoke tremblingly, with undisguised fear in their voices. So many horrible monsters, all killed with one knife. Song Yu was stunned. This didn't seem to be talking about abnormalities. One knife, could they be talking about? There is a Ghost Axe 6-star abnormal corpse here. And the burnt marks on this corridor are exactly the same as those on the 7th floor. The pioneers were all shocked. They followed the perspective of those people and saw the scene left by Fang Yi before. A ground of debris, red hair floating. Too scary. Is this the captain of Taishi, the Undertaker? The Undertaker is invincible. Oh my god, the abnormality of the Ghost Axe 6 stars could kill me in 1 second, and this is another one-hit kill. Too strong. The Undertaker. Too strong. Several people smacked their lips and could only repeat the same words over and over again, because the extremely shocking scene in front of them had burned their language centers, and there were only 2 words in their minds: awesome. He descended in front of them in an invincible manner and buried the monster with one sword. For a time, the status of the Undertaker rose infinitely in everyone's heart. Tianbao building has 40 floors. There are flickering lights on each floor, like a candle in the dim night, swaying unsteadily and quickly extinguishing. The pioneers are like followers, following Fang Yi up 1 floor at a time, eager to take action. However, they didn't find any opportunities. It's only 10 minutes. To be precise, it's 9 minutes and 56 seconds, and there are still 4 seconds to 10 minutes. There is not a single one left. Is this the strength of the captain? This is too scary. At this moment, the pioneers are in a complicated mood. The Tianbao building in front of them seems to have suddenly transformed from a horror game to a horror game with the biggest gold finger. You can hear the abnormal howling and see the dead bodies everywhere. Every time you think that there will be more and more terrifying abnormalities upstairs, the difficulty is getting higher and higher, chasing you all over the ground. But in the end, the elevator abnormality at the beginning was the closest time they were to the abnormality. Since then, they haven't seen a single living abnormality. Yes, not a single one. Not to mention the living ones, not even the dying ones were seen. Every anomaly died cleanly wherever Fang Yi passed, and turned directly into ashes. Even 502 could not stick it up. This made the pioneers feel very subtle. What was even more terrifying was that it took the captain of Taishi less than 10 minutes to do all this. 10 minutes. It was not even enough time for an ordinary person to climb the stairs, and all the anomalies in the entire building were dead. Tell me, is this reasonable? It was agreed to kill the anomalies, but they didn't even have a chance to shoot. The original killing operation turned into a pure rescue operation. Fang Yi was in the front, and the 4 of them were hanging behind as medical soldiers, a perfect 1 protecting 4. For the 4 experienced official pioneers, this feeling was very fresh. Ding! The elevator reached the 40th floor. It seemed that this operation was coming to an end and was about to end. The door to the 40th floor gradually opened. This floor was gray and filled with a gloomy atmosphere. A back figure came into view. It was the captain of Taishi, the sealer. His back was straight and he stood there like a silent sword. Seal. The person next to him was about to call him. But he was suddenly stopped by Song Yu seriously. Shish, don't talk. The captain seems to be fighting against the abnormality now. Don't disturb him. Song Yu gently raised his hand and signaled them to be silent and wait. Sure enough, their eyes looked over again. Fang Yi exuded a majestic aura, which spread like water waves and radiated throughout the 40th floor of Tianbao building. The glass hummed gently, showing how undercurrents there were under the calm surface. What was he looking for? What was he confronting? Is it the abnormality on the 40th floor? The behind-the-scenes pusher that led to the disaster of Tianbao building? The people around him were instantly horrified. They couldn't help but recall everything on the 40th floor, as if they had walked out of hell. If it weren't for Fang Yi pushing forward all the way in front, they would have experienced an unprecedented disaster. According to official information, this abnormal invasion was led by a powerful abnormality, which caused the tragedy of these 2,000 people. This behind-the-scenes pusher is absolutely terrible. The captain is in confrontation. This is a confrontation between kings. But at this moment, they suddenly heard a sound of cut. Fang Yi in front suddenly moved, and his fingers gently pressed on the Tang sword. In an instant, the pressure like a volcano erupted instantly. Zzzzzzzzz. From the 40th floor of Tianbao building, a thick black fog suddenly surged in from all directions, surrounding the place. One could vaguely hear the wailing of evil spirits and the roar of resentful ghosts in the darkness. The fog surged towards them, wanting to surround them. Just a slight touch made them feel cold and horrified. It was like falling into hell. Get out! Suddenly, a thunderous roar broke out. The black fog rolled, and a white bone wing suddenly emerged. Fang Yi raised his hand and slashed it with a knife. The terrible blade whistled and cut through the air, instantly hitting the rotten bone wing, making a clanging sound of metal colliding. The thunder surged and exploded, and the thunder in the sky imprisoned the bone wing like a chain. The next second, there was a click. The periosteum attached to the bone wing was directly shattered by the thunder. With a loud bang, the holy flames started to explode along the thunder chains. Boom! The bone wings exploded. The terrifying flames directly shattered the huge bone wings. The terrible power was so frightening. The dark green blood mist exploded in the air, dyeing it into a blood-red glow. The abnormality hidden in the dark howled sharply, and the exploded wings turned into countless fragments and dripped down. The sharp sound sounded, like a heart-wrenching scream, which made everyone shudder. Tick, tick, large pieces of sticky things like bone marrow or blood fell down, turning the whole room into a green blood mist. The dark green bone marrow continued to penetrate downwards, extremely thick and disgusting. The Undertaker actually cut off the bone wings directly. Swish! The dark green mist filled the sky. At this moment, everyone trembled. As the king of the abnormal dark attribute, the bone bird, the bone wings were so easily shattered. Captain Taishi is so strong. This is too strong. Is this the Undertaker? They couldn't help but show a look of horror. The scene just now made them tremble. They saw the most terrible crushing. As the king of the abnormalities, the bone bird has swallowed countless people to evolve. The entire Tianbao building is its granary. Its strength has reached an extremely terrible level. But in a breath, the bone wings were chopped off. They have never seen such a terrifying knife. With such terrible strength, there are still people who dare to oppose him in the forum. If you see it with your own eyes, let alone those opposing voices, even the voices of doubt will disappear directly. Such strength is completely at the level of crushing. Why is this Undertaker in Taishi? They couldn't help but beat their chests and stamp their feet. How great it would be if it was in their city. The captain of Taishi is really too strong. The sky was filled with blood, and the dripping green liquid was far more shocking than the broken bone wings. It also refreshed their misconceptions. When they first saw it, they actually thought that the two of them were evenly matched. Now they found that we were wrong. King versus king. What king versus king? This is a one-sided explosion by a king. The bone wings were deeply inserted into the floor, like a flag full of humiliation. The bone bird could hear the numbing sound of the knife scraping against the bones. The wings it was proud of were easily cut off in an instant, and blood plasma sprayed like a fountain. Violent. The bone bird let out a long scream. It was enraged. Its eyes were full of anger, and it rushed out of the black fog with its remaining wings, and its sharp claws attacked the knife-wielding boy on the opposite side like a deadly sickle. Boom! The knife flashed. A huge object hit the ground, splashing green pulp all over the ground. The bone bird's claws were also cut off. The claws flew out in a parabola, drew a beautiful arc in the air, and then landed accurately in the trash can next to it, like a useless waste paper ball thrown in. After Fang Yi cut off its claws, he listened to its sharp and piercing explosion, but did not continue, just raised his eyebrows and looked at it, as if silently indicating, "Come again." The bone bird continued to fly, and this time, it was another wing. The next knife, another claw. The next knife. From the beginning to the end, Fang Yi always maintained a slow rhythm of swinging the knife, and each time he waited for the bone bird to take the initiative to attack him before moving. Each time, he swung a knife, one part at a time, like an elegant dancer, enjoying the fun of slaughter in this dance called unilateral crushing. The pioneer saw this scene and took a breath of cold air, feeling cold from head to toe. It felt like every knife of the undertaker was accurately calculated, from left to right, from outside to inside. Every time after cutting off something, the next knife would fall on the symmetrical position on the right, without any deviation. Such a terrifying accuracy is because the strength of both sides is not equal at all. Not only the pioneer, but even the huge pupils of the bone bird revealed humane fear. It has now become a bird pig, its wings and claws have all been cut off, but the man in front of him still stopped according to the rhythm. He was not in a hurry to kill himself, he was enjoying the process. Fang Yi's eyes were cold, and the look he gave it was as deep as a spring. The bone bird was shocked by this look. It was terrified. It wanted to escape from the torture of this man. Suddenly, a terrifying breath burst out from the bone bird. It was burning its own blood to fight for a glimmer of life. Fang Yi just sneered at this. He directly waved the knife again, seemingly casually, and suddenly, a terrifying flame broke out around him. The scorching high temperature turned into a ring of fire, and the battlefield was sealed in an instant. Sealing technique. The flames surrounded him and the bone bird, just like the strings on the boxing ring, tightly encircling them here. At this moment, the bone bird suddenly felt a sense of horror. This terrifying human actually sealed him and himself here together, just to prevent him from escaping. Madman. Facts prove it. The bone bird's intuition is very accurate. The next second, Fang Yi seemed to lose his patience. He stood up and quickly came to the bone bird, slashing one knife after another at a very fast speed. The blade made a buzzing sound, and the flames left an unclear afterimage in the air. In just a few seconds, countless wounds were left on the bone bird, and these wounds were emitting flames and exploded in an instant. Boom, boom, boom. The huge explosion sounded on the top floor, like fireworks in the daytime. The pioneers could only vaguely capture the pattern outlined by the knife light and flames in the air. They covered their ears and looked at the scene in front of them with great shock. Watching the bone bird jump up and down, counterattack frantically, then passively being beaten. The whole process took less than 5 minutes, and this was when Fang Yi slowed down. At this moment, the head, broken wings, claws, were all chopped off and flew away. I don't know where they fell. The body of the bone bird was in pieces, from a whole to sections. The only thing flowing was its dark green blood that kept flowing out. The picture looked full of horror. Dark green blood and flesh were like flowing water from the afterlife, supporting the scattered corpse of the bone bird. Fang Yi chopped the bone bird to pieces with his sword. During the whole process, he remained leisurely, and the bone bird frantically flapped its wings, but to no avail. This is a one-sided crushing. What's more, in this battle, all the pioneers discovered it. That bone bird turned out to be Ghost Axe 7 stars. In the B-level mission, the abnormality of Ghost Axe 7 stars has exceeded the scale, and it is necessary to report to the higher authorities and request military support. But at this time, the mastermind behind Ghost Axe 7 stars was madly killed by Fang Yi. It's really unreasonable violence. Everyone was shocked and speechless, and dared not make any sound, for fear of disturbing this evil god. Snap! After cutting it almost, Fang Yi stepped on the bird's head and pierced the last knife into the skull of the bone bird. Violent! The bone bird wailed, and all the black fog around it rushed towards the blade frantically. It was using the dark attribute to heal itself. At this time, the young man slowly raised his right hand, and thunder burst out from his palm. Boom! He slapped the bone bird's head with one palm, and the whole brain was instantly exploded by the surging thunder force, and dark green flesh and blood splashed, falling like rain. Tang sword in the left hand, thunder in the right hand. In the darkness, the figure was like a god judging the darkness. This scene was deeply engraved in the hearts of the pioneers. Is this Captain Taishi? I think I really understand why he can solve the A+ level anomaly, and I heard that he took action when Taishi was desperate. Taishi had exhausted all means, and his sudden appearance turned the tide. This person is not at the same level as us. I heard that the anomaly in Taishi has been confirmed. The A+ level anomaly invasion event is called Sacrifice King Hell. The leading incubator has desperate growth potential. Fortunately, it was sealed in time. Now the information has been sealed in the top secret file. Perhaps in the future, when Xiaoguo encounters anomalies that cannot be resisted again, there will be professional personnel to restart this file and look for the experience in it. But I'm afraid no one can replicate the solution of Sacrifice King Hell. Because this is the ultimate personal combat ability, breaking the despair with a point of overwhelming force. The pioneers finally realized at this moment that there is an insurmountable gap between themselves and the top geniuses, which is bottomless. After Fang Yi cut the bone bird, he drew his knife, turned around, and said to Song Yu, "The mission is completed. Please inform Galan." Song Yu came back to his senses from his stunned state and said respectfully, "Please rest assured that the reward will be paid to you immediately, and your special plane will be arranged to take you back to Tai City soon." Fang Yi nodded. At this moment, he looked around, found a bottle of intact mineral water from the corner, unscrewed the lid, and washed the dark green thick liquid on the Tang sword with running water. The abnormal blood and flesh were smelly and disgusting, and he was about to vomit. Soon, the blade was washed clean. Fang Yi put away the knife and frowned. "I have to go back quickly to disinfect the knife." Although he knew it was impossible, he still didn't want to leave the disgusting thing on his knife. He had a mysophobia in this area. After doing all this, Fang Yi turned around, took the elevator, and went downstairs, leaving behind a group of young people looking at each other. May I ask what role we played in this mission? Good question. Everyone was silent. Are we considered mascots? Someone asked tentatively. Song Yu glanced at him speechlessly. You're watching people fight monsters from behind the whole time. A mascot should at least play a role of auspiciousness, right? Where is your auspiciousness? You can't even shout 666. Anyway, I was shocked to see Captain Taishi this time. Oh, I wish I was in Taishi. I also want to go to Taishi. Is the Spirit Association still short of people there? I don't mind leaving my hometown. I'll apply to the higher-ups now to see if I can go to the military area near Taishi. Nowadays, the dark anomaly is so terrifying. With such a captain in charge, I feel so safe. Calling headquarters, this is Song Yu, reporting the situation now. At present, the Tianbao building incident has been successfully resolved, all abnormalities have been confirmed dead, and the list of rescued injured is being counted. Ah, yes, all abnormalities are dead, no one is alive. I have sorted out the photos and materials, and will submit them together with the report when the time comes. At this moment, in the lobby on the top floor, Song Yu is on the phone, reporting the situation to the military district. The fact that all the abnormalities in Tianbao building died surprised the other side a little. After repeated confirmation, the other side said for the first time that they did a very good job. Song Yu was flattered. After all, their superiors were strict and rarely praised people. This time the praise was not only for her personally, but more likely to be recorded in the file. It was related to her promotion, which was a real benefit. When Song Yu hung up the phone, she looked at the corpses on the ground, and felt a little guilty for some reason. She had a sense of déjà vu that she had done nothing but won the first place in the group assignment. After all, the Undertaker had cut down all the abnormalities in the entire building by himself. At best, they could only count as coming here to brush up their steps, and also worked as a medical soldier. But soon, she convinced herself. I got the upper hand by my own ability, so how can it not be considered my ability? On the other side, the Kang City Spiritual Association also learned the news here. Their people were a little shocked, and they praised the Xingshan military district for being so powerful. Hearing this, the two people in the Spiritual Association were a little embarrassed and explained in a low voice. It was not done by the people in the Xingshan military district at all. At best, they were just intermediaries. The real contributor was the captain of Tai City, the Undertaker. The Kang City Spiritual Association was a little surprised, but still more happy than surprised. After all, the degree of urgency and the priority of the mission of Tianbao building were very high, otherwise they would not have hurriedly hired foreign aid to solve it, but the speed and result of the solution of this matter really exceeded their expectations. The details will have to wait until they go back to report. After both sides reported, everyone helped the wounded to simply treat their wounds and planned to take them away. But at this time, the two people from the Spirit Association looked at the message received on their mobile phones and suddenly exclaimed softly. They looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. What's wrong? The captain of Kang City has been elected. So fast. Song Yu was a little surprised. After all, the last captain candidate was the Undertaker, and his example was well deserved. Kang City could actually choose so quickly, which really made her curious. Who is it? This elected pioneer has only appeared recently. We only found him when we registered. His current ability is still confidential, but the Spirit Association gave him the title of Divine Sword, and his specific strength should be between Ghost Axe 6 stars and Ghost Axe 7 stars. A pioneer approaching Ghost Axe 7 stars. It is already an outstanding talent to be able to achieve this without resources. Yes, he is indeed very strong. If he is the captain of Kang City, he deserves it. At present, most pioneers are at the level of Ghost Axe 3 stars, and the official pioneers will be slightly stronger because of the supply of resources, but they are only Ghost Axe 5 stars. Compared to them, this pioneer is indeed very strong, and it is not surprising that he was elected as the captain. I thought it was just an insignificant episode. But unexpectedly, the person from the Spirit Association suddenly received a call. After hearing what was said on the other end of the phone, he was a little surprised at first, and then he showed a horrified expression. Stop him. What? He's already here. It's over. What happened? The military man looked solemn and stepped forward to ask. I thought there was another abnormal invasion somewhere, but I didn't expect that the man's face was pale and he uttered a word. Captain Kang City. I heard that the Undertaker is currently in Kang City and is already heading here. The pupils of the pioneers shrank when they heard this. Captain Kang City came to find the Undertaker. At present, the Undertaker is now famous, and the forum is still arguing about him. It can be said that he is the most discussed person among the pioneers in the country. The newly appointed captain of Kang City heard that he was here, so he hurried over. Could it be, he came to provoke? You know, the captains of the pioneers are all outstanding people. Being able to stand out in this early stage when the spiritual energy has not yet fully recovered is enough to show their strength. The more talented they are, the more aggressive they are. Struggle will make them grow and turn into the power of their hard work. Therefore, whether it is the Spirit Association or the military region, they actually turn a blind eye to the internal struggles of the pioneers, as long as they don't kill anyone. But the Undertaker is an exception. This is the only one that the military region and the Spirit Association have in their hands. It is absolutely impossible for any pioneer to provoke him. Song Yu was immediately a little unhappy, and her face sank. What's wrong with you? This mission has been handed over to our military region. It is our Xingshan military region that invited Captain Taishi. We must be responsible for Captain Taishi. The captain's plan was handled by the Spirit Association. Now we want to send Captain Taishi away, but Captain Kangshi wants to come here. His intentions are unclear. This is a provocation to the majesty of the military region. Song Yu has actually been very kind along the way, and occasionally jokes, giving people the illusion that she is easy to get along with. Now, when she is really angry, the iron-blooded temperament unique to the military is exposed at once, full of deterrence. Everyone's face turned pale, they were scared. Once this matter rises to the height of provoking the majesty of the military region, the Spirit Association will really have trouble clearing itself. Although the military region and the Spirit Association are both official organizations, one is in charge of soldiers and the other is in charge of civilians. The two are always not on the same level. What's more, the military region is much more important than the Spirit Association in terms of resources and responsibilities. If the military region and the Spirit Association meet, the Spirit Association must be lower than the military region. But they also know that Song Yu is right. Once the situation develops to an unpredictable situation, the consequences will not be something they can afford. After all, it is about the relationship between the captains. At present, the captain's plan is only in its initial stage, and the Forerunner's summary has not yet ended. Everything is being implemented. If at this time, the captain of Kang City also comes to provoke, let alone the Xingshan military region in the middle, even the relationship between Kang City and Tai City will become extremely awkward. This question, is it really going to fight the Undertaker? This captain of Kang City, it seems that he is not a stable person. 1 kilometer away from Tianbao Building, in a luxuriously decorated hotel. The swimming pool on the balcony shimmers in the sunlight, and the vinyl record player on the table is playing soothing blues. At this moment, Fang Yi is sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window, eating a carefully prepared afternoon tea. This is the VIP room that Galan arranged for him. After dealing with the affairs of Tianbao Building, he only needs to sit here and wait for Galan to send a special plane to pick him up. The special plane to pick him up will arrive in an hour. Before that, he only needs to enjoy a good afternoon tea. This is the attitude of the military region towards the strong. Fang Yi took a bite of the flour cake served with the afternoon tea. This is a local specialty of Kang City. In Fang Yi's impression, his cousin has also made it several times, and it tastes better than here. At this moment, a text message came to the mobile phone. Fang Yi picked up the phone and looked at the text message sent by Song Yu, and his eyebrows were slightly raised. Captain Kang City is looking for me. To be honest, Fang Yi didn't want to pay attention to the so-called Captain Kang City. The reputation of captain is actually because the Spirit Association asked him to take the position. In the end, it is just a title. As expected, a tall tree attracts the wind. It seems that there is no way to escape. Fang Yi smiled slightly, tapping the table in front of him with his fingers, as if waiting for something to come. At the same time, downtown Kang City, Bachao Street. An ordinary community, on the health path for running. A hooded pioneer was jogging at a constant speed, the Bluetooth headset on his ear flashed blue light. His face was ruddy, and his clothes were slightly soaked with sweat. He seemed to enjoy it very much. At this time, boom, a strong wind swept over his head without warning, the surrounding trees shook, and large leaves fell. The hooded pioneer's eyes changed slightly. He could feel that the ground under his feet just trembled. In an instant, the hooded pioneer reacted and looked up. At this moment, the sky was dim, there was only absolute silence, not even the sound of wind. A black shadow pierced through the high-rise buildings of Kang City like a sharp sword. He shuttled through the city, and the whole world was under his feet. The surging, knife-like aura on his body rose rapidly along the trajectory, brilliant and cold, like a violent storm, as if he himself had turned into an empty silver knife light. What a terrible aura! Forerunner! In an instant, the pupils of the hooded Forerunner shrank. Soon, the aura disappeared. He couldn't help but look in the direction where the aura disappeared, and vaguely saw a towering iconic spire, which was the famous landmark of Kang City, Tianbao Building. This high-star Forerunner seemed to be heading towards Tianbao Building. At this moment, in front of Tianbao Building, a black shadow landed silently, and he looked at the Tianbao Building in front of him and frowned slightly. The black fog in front of the Tianbao Building had completely dissipated, revealing the original appearance of the building, without even a trace of dark aura remaining. It can be said that there was no difference from before the abnormal invasion. However, this no difference does not include the exterior of the building. The building's original luxurious decorations peeled off and became very dilapidated. The walls on the west side near the corridor were all burned, as if they were burned by dragon breath. Fortunately, the Spiritual Association has already divided the surrounding area of 100 meters into an isolation zone and erected an airtight high wall. Otherwise, if this scene falls into the hands of the public media, all kinds of conspiracy theories will come out. After handling it, will you just leave? The Black Shadow murmured in a low voice. Just then, there was a commotion in Tianbao building, and 4 pioneers ran out of the building and blocked him like a well-trained army. Song Yu and others had already made the worst plan. No matter what, even if they risked their lives, they had to stop Captain Kangxi and Captain Taishi from fighting. They couldn't let Captain Taishi, who Galan asked to help, make any mistakes. But when they personally faced the Black Shadow in front of them, they still felt a click in their hearts. The man in front of her gave her a powerful and unpredictable feeling. The huge sense of oppression coming from him was like a mountain pressing down on her head, making her scalp numb. The others around her were not feeling well either. Just a simple look at each other, their fingers hidden behind their backs couldn't stop trembling. Although they were both pioneers, the pressure from the person on the other side was like a river facing the vast ocean, no less than the Bone Bird and the Undertaker on the top. At this time, talking about blocking and courage is all empty talk. Can a child challenge an adult with courage? That is too against human nature. Kangxi. Song Yu was about to speak with a stiff face. Whoosh. Suddenly, the figure disappeared in front of them. At the moment of disappearance, his figure disintegrated, as if a ball of ink was washed off the paper, which gave several people goosebumps. Several people's faces suddenly changed. I have a bad feeling. Me too. Is this a captain-level figure? What a lot of pressure. The Undertaker is also, and he is also. The next second, in front of the hotel 1 kilometer away. Ta-ta. Feng Yi seemed to notice something. His eyes were slightly cold, and his voice was faint. Since you are here, come out. Suddenly, at this moment, the dark ink mass slowly condensed again. In the eyes of everyone who was either stunned, horrified or confused, a thin figure slowly emerged. It was a young man in a black Tai Chi suit. He wore a full set of training clothes and a 2-foot-long close combat knife on his belt. He looked like the heir of an ancient martial arts family. At this moment, his eyes were as sharp as a hawk, staring straight at Feng Yi in front of him. Captain Kang City, the magic knife. The way he appeared was too strange, as if he stepped out of the void, like an ink painting, unpredictable. But what was more eye-catching was the knife on his waist. The knife was completely black and could not be seen clearly, but the terrifying pressure from it was surging and magnificent, which put great pressure on the few low-star pioneers present. My name is Yu Fengzhong, captain of Kang City. I am very grateful that you have solved the crisis of Tianbao building for Kang City. But as the captain of Tai City, you have come all the way to Kang City. Isn't it a bit over the line? Yu Fengzhong spoke softly. His voice was cold and hard. His eyes were always looking at Feng Yi, without any extra eyes on other things. It seemed that in the world, except Feng Yi, no one or anything could arouse his interest. As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere instantly became tense. Feng Yi narrowed his eyes, and his eyes gradually became dangerous. His tone of voice, his demeanor, and his eyes were really annoying. As the captain of a city, the first sentence he said was to imply that other city captains were meddling in other people's business. This attitude is not really friendly. What's more, Feng Yi came to deal with the Tianbao building incident after receiving Galan's commission. When he came, there was no captain in Kang City. Without a captain, the spiritual association could only ask the military district for help, and the military district asked Feng Yi for help. No matter how you look at it, he owed a favor to Kang City. But now, this newly appointed captain of Kang City seems to be looking for him to settle accounts later. Feng Yi can probably guess a little about the spiritual association's plan to select captains. Captains are all heavyweight pioneers in Sha country today. Selecting a captain is not just as simple as selecting a city representative. All this was done intentionally by the spiritual association. They promoted the reputation of the captains of each city. The original intention was to cultivate the patron saints of each city to avoid the recurrence of the incident of being unable to provide support in time, like the sacrifice King Hell. If this is the case, the spiritual association naturally does not want to see friction between the captains of each city. Perhaps in a few months, after the captain plan is truly complete, the captains will not be allowed to meet easily. After all, the captain level power will be the top of the entire Sha country in the future. If such people meet, once a conflict occurs, the consequences will be disastrous. Unfortunately, that is in the future, not now. Fang Yi's eyes gradually turned cold. Originally, he just went on a long journey for the sake of Galan's face and made 5 million by the way. But now, it seems that someone is unwilling to let him leave so easily. Fang Yi narrowed his eyes. He reached into his trouser pocket and took out his mobile phone. Then, he lowered his head and started typing in front of Yu Fengzhong. On the opposite side, Yu Fengzhong was slightly stunned, but he just stood there quietly and did not urge Fang Yi. If it were someone else, he would be angry, but he would not be angry with Feng Zhongjie, because he had already recognized Feng Zhongjie as a true swordsman like him. For the strong men of the same level, there will always be a little more respect than others. Soon, Fang Yi finished sending the message and put away his phone. So, what do you mean now? Fang Yi looked at the thin young man in front of him. The next second, Yu Fengzhong's lips curled up slightly, revealing a smile. Lend me the knife on you. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving Kang City. Yu Fengzhong's voice was unhurried, but there was a coldness in his pair of dark brown eyes. Boom! As soon as the voice fell, a terrifying sword light illuminated the sky. A terrifying pressure erupted from the sword, like a tsunami, more intense than the scorching sun. At the same time, boom boom boom, Yu Fengzhong's pupils shrank suddenly, his spiritual energy suddenly burst out, and he retreated madly. The ground beneath his feet suddenly caught fire, and the scorched earth spread far away. In an instant, the grass and trees were instantly ignited, and the ground kept cracking, like a giant python, chasing Yu Fengzhong all the way. He retreated dozens of meters in a row, until he could hardly see Fang Yi's figure, and the terrifying cracking of the ground just stopped. And the scorched earth under his feet continued to emit billowing white smoke, and the terrifying breath escaped. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud noise behind him, and Yu Fengzhong subconsciously looked back. But he saw, rows of trees behind him were blown up one after another, and thick smoke rolled up, with an extremely amazing momentum. What a thick yang power! What an amazing explosion! What a terrifying cremation momentum! Seeing this, Yu Fengzhong's pupils shrank, and his chest shook unconsciously. Suddenly, he felt a pain on his face, and it was a little wet, as if some liquid was slowly flowing down. Yu Fengzhong was slightly stunned. He casually raised his sleeve to wipe it, and a small piece of the black cuff was instantly soaked, and there was a faint smell of rust on it. Is this blood? A small cut appeared on Yu Fengzhong's dark face, and blood was constantly oozing out. There was still a burning fire element left in the wound. The blood that he had just wiped remained on his cheek, dyeing his eyes red. Yu Fengzhong was not angry, but a trace of greed appeared in his eyes. The funeral master was a pioneer of the yang attribute, and the knife was actually the same as his attribute. Although he didn't understand, he knew that this knife was extremely precious. It is said that the Spirit Association is developing spiritual weapons, which is an extremely powerful weapon, which contains terrifying attribute power. After the casting is completed, a knife can even split mountains and seas. Could it be this? Is this a work that human society can produce now? This trip, I really didn't come in vain. Yu Fengzhong's eyes flickered. Looking at Tang Dao, a frightening fanaticism emerged. Boom! A terrifying breath burst out from Yu Fengzhong's thin body. The black long sword suddenly came out of the sheath, and the sky and the earth suddenly darkened. Not far away, in Tianbao building, the pioneers were worried and paced back and forth. I don't know how Captain Fengjia is doing now, whether he has met Captain Kangxi. Just then, a terrifying force burst out. Everyone in Tianbao building looked up at the sky with a horrified expression. Boom! The frightening change came from a kilometer away, and the sky suddenly dimmed. The flames reflected the entire sky into a dazzling red, like a gorgeous fire cloud, which was extremely shocking. What a terrifying power! That is, the direction of the hotel where the Undertaker is. Captain Kangxi found the Undertaker. Has the Undertaker already drawn his sword? Song Yu was horrified. She felt a familiar pressure from this scene. That was when Fang Yi cremated the abnormality with a knife. It must be the Undertaker. Such a terrifying fire, this suffocating pressure. I can clearly feel it from such a distance. Is this the power of the Undertaker? Boom boom. The terrifying power erupted in the sky. At this moment, the flame was the only color between heaven and earth. Everything lost its color and became dim. This scene was like a natural disaster. Quickly notify Ling. Song Yu's voice was out of tune, and her voice stopped abruptly. The phone suddenly shook, and a message popped up not long ago. When she saw the content on it clearly, her beautiful eyes suddenly shrank. You guys, look at this. Huh, the member of the spiritual association next to her was grabbed by her and was a little unhappy. She was in a hurry to contact people. But when she saw the message clearly, her face suddenly changed. How could this happen? They were cold all over, their scalps tingled in an instant, and even their blood froze, and their scalps tingled in an instant. The message was sent by the Undertaker. There were only 2 short sentences on it. 10 minutes. If you don't want to lose a captain. What? The captain of Kang City met my captain of Tai City. At this moment, the headquarters of the Tai City Spiritual Association. Li Zongyu sat in the upper seat. A group of people gathered below, all of whom were high-level commissioners of the Spiritual Association. The commissioners were excited and angry. Our captain of Tai City was invited by the military region to go to Kang City to help solve the anomaly, but he was detained by the captain of Kang City. What does Kang City mean? Contact the Kang City Spiritual Association immediately. We must ask them to give us an explanation. The commissioner in charge of contact immediately called the Kang City Spiritual Association. This matter is very serious. If it gets out of hand, it will not only involve the spiritual associations of the 2 prefecture-level cities, but even the Xingshan military region will be involved. We must stop the so-called captain of Kang City as soon as possible. But at this moment, suddenly, a man hurried in and whispered a few words in Li Zongyu's ear. What? He was shocked. The news he brought was exactly what the Undertaker said. Instantly, the office was silent, and everyone's scalp was numb. Losing a captain. This is no joke. Those are the words of the Undertaker, who independently solved the A+ level anomaly. He has the ability to do so. How long has it been since he said this? Li Zongyu asked. We came to report as soon as we received the news, but due to various force majeure communication factors, 2 minutes have passed and only 8 minutes are left. The communicator replied. 8 minutes. Since the Undertaker gave 10 minutes, it must be 10 minutes. It's still in time. Li Zongyu calmed down and analyzed. Everyone, this matter is ultimately due to the dereliction of duty of our spiritual association. The captain plan has only been implemented for a short time, but the captain's majesty cannot be desecrated. After all, they will be the captains of all the pioneers of our Sha country in the future and the leaders of various regions. We must handle this matter properly. Yes, if this matter is not handled well, it will easily cause estrangement between the captains, which will affect the future of Sha country. We have to plan for the long term. As high-ranking officials, the commissioners are not easily angered, but this matter involves the Undertaker, and they are a little agitated for a while. At this moment, under Li Zongyu's words, they all calmed down. However, how to deal with it properly? It is natural for the other party to be punished for such a provocation. I support the sealer to punish him. However, if the captain of Kang City is really beaten to death, how can this captain of Kang City be so ignorant of the world? The commissioners are full of contempt for this so-called captain of Kang City at this moment. If he hadn't provoked the sealer without knowing his own life, they wouldn't be so anxious here. Have you contacted the Kang City Spiritual Association? Li Zongyu looked up and asked. The best way is for the Kang City Spiritual Association to come forward and send people to stop the behavior of the captain of Kang City. If they can stop him in 10 minutes, there is still a chance for this matter to turn around, and at most they will be injured. Contact. The contact specialist's face was pale, holding the phone, and he looked terrified. What did they say? They said, the captain of Kang City may not lose. Bang! Li Zongyu stood up suddenly and slapped the table, which trembled faintly and made a fragile sound. Everyone present felt his anger. Idiots, a bunch of idiots. Li Zongyu kept cursing. As the head of the Spirit Association of Tai City, he knew best how powerful the sealer was. And did the simple-minded guys of the Spirit Association of Kang City really think that an A+ level anomaly, a perfect king-level evolution, was so easy to seal? Are those people in Kang City crazy? Wei Zheng is the vice president of the Spirit Association and the one who proposed to recommend the sealer to be the captain. At this moment, his voice, which has always been calm, is a bit unbelievable. Not only him, but others also think so. The captain of Kang City is crazy. The Spirit Association of Kang City is also crazy. They are all crazy. What realm is that captain of Kang City? Li Zongyu's eyes were cold. 6-star ghost axe, it is said that he has touched the threshold of 7 stars. 6 stars. How could a mere 6-star ghost axe be the opponent of the sealer? The burial master not only has multiple extreme high-level attributes, but also has his own strength breaking through the ghost axe 7 stars. Not to mention his terrifying combat power, which far exceeds the surface realm. From this point of view, what the Kang City Spiritual Association said is right. Captain Kang City will not lose. He will die. Wei Zheng on the side widened his eyes. This was too terrifying. If this was heard by the Kang City Spiritual Association, they would fight to the death with them. But everyone present knew that the president was right. The people of the Kang City Spiritual Association had not experienced the King's sacrifice hell. They did not understand the true meaning of the word, burial, at all. Contact the Spiritual Association headquarters, but if they don't answer the phone, forget it. Li Zongyu's eyes flickered, and then he calmed down strangely. When this was said, everyone around was stunned. Is it okay to just notify? Will the headquarters blame it later? This doesn't answer the phone, why does it feel like a superficial effort? Everyone around was a little confused. However, Li Zongyu's eyes were heavy, sweeping over everyone present. Kang City is ignorant, and other cities may not be either. They don't know how terrifying the growth of the dark attribute is. And what kind of hell is the abnormal invasion? Even if we successfully prevent what happened today, it may happen again and again in the future. We must think of a way to stop this group of idiots once and for all and shut up the mouths of these idiots so that the Undertaker can be at peace. Yes, although what happened today was the first time, the public opinion on the forum was obvious to all. No matter how the official propaganda of the horror of the A+ level event, those who have never experienced it will never be able to empathize. Unless they really experience the horror of despair in person. Su Qingying also reported before that a pioneer from High City secretly found the residence of the Undertaker to provoke, and today the captain of Kang City has someone to stay. If the situation is allowed to develop, will there be pioneers from other cities tomorrow? What about the day after tomorrow? Since this matter is endless, it is better to cut it off. What Li Zongyu said made everyone realize the most serious problem. That's right, the captain of Kang City is not the point. What's important is the attitude of the Kang City Spiritual Association and the attitude of other cities towards the Undertaker. At this moment, they obviously misunderstood the strength of the Undertaker. Just a captain. You have one in Tai City, and we have one too. It's just that the Undertaker was lucky and happened to solve an A+ level incident. It's far from enough for them to respect the Undertaker. Other cities must also see the strength of the Undertaker. The Undertaker is willing to serve as the captain, which has given our spiritual association a great face. We can't cause trouble for him. In order to prevent today's incident from happening again, we have to kill the chicken to scare the monkey. All the consequences will be borne by our Tai City Spiritual Association. Since the Kang City Spiritual Association has this attitude, the Undertaker doesn't have to worry about it. Let him die. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.